And good morning. It is a Friday edition of Glenn Clark Radio, and that means our friend Stan the Fan Charles is back in studio with us. Chief Graham Poobah at Press Box. Good morning, sir. How
are you? Guys. Good morning.
Good to see you. You get your you're down to one donut a week.
Well, I fudged earlier in the week. I had another donut.
Okay, we're not going to tell anybody.
That was honey glazed as well. I'm trying not to do
the powder donut.
I'm trying not to do their 100 more calories.
Right. So we did establish that. Like your doctor will tell you the way that you want to get in shape is to eat more honey glazed donuts. That's exactly. I believe it's the American Medical Association that made that statement. That works.
Surgeon General.
Yeah, correct. But you got your honey glazed donut this morning?
I got a honey glazed donut.
All right. I do like that. A lot to do on the program today, coming up a little bit later on. Mark DeRosa from MLB Network is going to join us.
Looking forward to
oh, God, the thing about that is if you think Tirico doesn't like you, you should hear the things that DeRosa said. Oh, my.
None of them are true.
You know the dirty little secret, right? He's on TV at the same time as we do this show.
So it's obviously not live.
Lauren Shahadi?
I don't know who else. Yeah, I think Shahadi's on that show. I know O'Dowd was on this week. MLB Central, it's called. So we're not doing anything live with Mark DeRosa. We had to record that yesterday afternoon, but it was a good conversation. And no, unfortunately, Stan was not here, so that was why we were having fun with that. Stan will be here as we chat with Dylan Beavers. We'll make a trip to Aberdeen, catch up with Dylan Beavers, who's had a nice season for the Ironbirds. And
have you guys had Dylan Beavers, a nice player? Have you guys had Kobe Mayo on the show?
It's been a couple weeks.
Yes. Okay, you had him on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's killing it. In fact, we had a conversation earlier this week with it just so happened to line up that we had both these guys on the same day. We had invited Jonathan Mayo on because MLB redid their top 100 prospects and put Holiday #1 over Elly De La Cruz.
Right.
And then we had reached out to Keith Law because he had written something about Jordan Westberg for The Athletic, and it just so happened to be that they both came on the same day.
Right.
And so I really was trying to dive into exactly what the value for attempting to make a trade would be of certain guys, because now that Westberg's here, it's going to be tougher for Orioles fans to stomach the idea of Westberg being involved in a trade.
I would agree.
And with Cowser being, at the moment, like sort of thought of as the center fielder of the future, although I think it was Keith Law who said he does not believe Cowser is a center fielder.
Right. Keith Law does not love Cowser.
Yeah.
Thinks he's more or less a fourth outfielder.
Essentially.
That's
and he didn't go as far as saying platoon hitter, but basically said, I don't think he's ever going to be able to hit lefties well enough to be the guy that you think that he is.
Right.
But I still think it's a tough sell for the franchise to deal Cowser because you don't have the same depth there that you do in the infield.
Right.
So the ideal thing, every Orioles fan is sitting around today saying, well, just trade Ortiz and Norby. And like, okay, yeah, that's all well and good, but there's a limit to what Ortiz and Norby can bring you back. Not to say you can't get something for Ortiz.
If you throw Ryan Mountcastle in?
I don't know that that's going to help it all that much, Stan. In fact, you might have to be willing to take something. So I said, what could you get for a package centered around Ortiz and Norby? And it was Jonathan Mayo, of course, who's not related, who said, well, there'd be a limit, but if you made it Mayo, Ortiz, and Norby, now you might be onto something.
Yeah.
Because Mayo is the guy that it's starting to turn the corner to where internally organizations would say, we think he is an all-star caliber player at the major league level. We think
I'm one of those people.
Yeah. And so that's the more intriguing thought is Mayo your first baseman of the future, or is Kjerstad your right fielder and Santander's your first baseman because you're going to commit to Santander?
Right.
And if he is, then you're going to run out of positions for everybody else to play. Is there a spot for Mayo, too? Is he blocked the same way that Ortiz and Norby are blocked if Kjerstad's in right field, Santander's at first, and then at that point, whoever it would be, either Henderson or Westberg is your third baseman once Jackson Holiday gets here.
Right.
So if that's the case, then what is Kobe Mayo as part of this organization? Now, it's when you say these things, somebody can get hurt. Things change,
yeah,
obviously.
And you also have to question whether the team if a Mayo is such an alluring
Right.
prospect,
Then are they going to commit
next
to
summer,
Santander?
Are they going to commit to Hayes, Santander, and Mullins? I
Yep.
mean, something the dam's got to break. And the other part of this all, figuring out this, and I like to say how to thread this needle, is what the club is willing to pay for a pitcher they acquire. This can't be. They can't do what the Orioles did when they acquired Andrew Miller, who wasn't a starting pitcher.
No, you can't.
But
right.
you can't give up even one really good prospect and then just let him walk 2 months later for a draft pick.
You and I strongly agree about, and I would say in general, that's why I wouldn't do a rental at all, because I just don't trust. The argument that somebody would make is we could do a rental and just sign him. Well, it's not, even if that's your thought process, it's not that easy.
Right.
That guy is going to be able to negotiate with everyone. Like, that you don't get this isn't like when you acquired Roquan Smith last year and the Ravens did.
Ravens controlled
and you could always slap a tag on him
yep.
or threaten to. We all knew that they weren't going to be able to because of Lamar Jackson, but that was always looming for Roquan Smith. If they could get a deal done with Lamar, then they would be able to tag him. So you have some advantage there to get him to come to the table with you during the course of the season. It's not like that in baseball. You're acquiring a guy who's going to become a free agent at that point.
Right.
So that doesn't mean you can't sign him, but it's no different than any other free agent that would be on the market at that point.
Yeah.
So I am, and I hate saying it this way, like I don't want to use this guy just because he's come on the show. If the price of getting a rental is Dylan Beavers,
right,
then okay. You know what I mean?
He's
like
far enough down the road that you wouldn't mind.
You might end up being bit in the ass by it. It's possible.
Yeah, but it's 4 years down the road, and you may have at least contended for and gotten into a World Series.
Correct.
Yeah.
But if the price is more than that, if the price is something real, there is no world in which everybody keeps talking about Lucas Giolito. I'm not paying a legitimate price for a rental Lucas Giolito because I'm still maintaining. I hate saying this, Stan. They went 33-17 in their first 50 games. Mm-hmm. Since that time, they're a game over 500.
Right.
You and I talked about this last week. They're kind of a middle-of-the-road team since the first 50, which doesn't mean that the first 50 don't count or that I don't think that they still have a path in which they could play better baseball, but they've been a more middling team since the first 50 games. And I think that's not an unfair reflection of what they are. I think when you look at them on paper, the innings are overwhelming. The guy that was supposed to be getting them innings has been not doing that of late. The bullpen is three guys that you really, really trust,
and three that you really, you're sweating it.
Yep.
No question about it. And more times than not, they're not coming through, those three guys.
And
that is the easiest spot to fix, in my opinion.
Sure.
I think as much as I'd like to get a Lucas Giolito or a Jordan Montgomery even from the Cardinals who would probably cost less to sign, I don't know. I can't read Mike Elias's mind nor know his exact budget constraints in whether they could get a Jordan Montgomery, let's say, from the Cardinals. Would they have the capital, the real capital, to sign him for 4 years or something like that? I'd say $60 million for 4 years. I mean, that seems like in 2 years you'll be saying, "Boy, did we get a cheap deal on that?"
It's the type of money that you should be willing to.
Exactly,
yes.
Exactly. And I think they will for where they are at this point, but that limits who that pitcher can be. Giolito looks at himself as more, I believe, like a $22, $23 million pitcher.
Yes.
And he just hasn't done that. Now, if you could get a window to talk to him and see if you can cut a deal where maybe the first 2 years are 16, 17 a year, and then it's back-ended with an opt-out or something of that nature, that still might be worthwhile because he's not quite a number one, I don't think, in his best days. But I think he's certainly like a he's of Chris Tillman, maybe even a little bit better than Chris Tillman.
There are moments where he's
very, very good. And
correct.
And you look at the Oriole defense is far superior to the Chicago White Sox
there's no doubt.
defense.
Well, let's stay with the White Sox because the guy that isn't the rental is Dylan Cease, but he's the guy that because of the control, you'd have to pay a boatload for, and the problem is he hasn't
been that
very
Dylan
good.
Cease this
Right.
year. You know, they also have a third guy that I can't stand the shape he keeps himself in. He's like a younger version of Bartolo Colon. Is Lance Lynn. Now, Lance Lynn is having an absolutely horrible season, but we have seen cases where somebody like him, a veteran pitcher, gets to a better team, playing better defense, knowing how to use that left field wall, to pitch to. He's an interesting guy who 3 starts ago struck out 16 batters in a game.
And he is under control he's got a club option.
He's got a
club
option.
option for next year. So you would have the option of having another year with
But you
with
might
Lance
be
Lynn.
able to get him for a Norby only.
So, but let me go back. Where are you with Cease? Because Cease would take the big package in order to get.
Right.
Lots of control. 2 years beyond this year.
Yeah.
Only a year removed from being dominant.
Right.
The walks are a huge issue.
I haven't seen him pitch. I know that he's not having a good year.
Yeah.
You wonder how much of that is he the reason the White Sox aren't good, or is part of the reason he's not good
because the White Sox.
They're not making plays, they're not scoring
chicken
runs.
and the egg.
Yeah. But we see more and more young players who have trouble being consistent over the long haul.
It's true.
Look at Lucas Giolito. 2 years ago, he appeared to be, after the 21 season, he valued himself in the 20s at that
100%.
point in time. And so far, they did an arbitration and another arbitration with him.
So I am struggling with the Cease conversation. I really am, because that feels like if you're gonna package everybody together and go out and try to get a guy, that's the profile of the guy that you want to go get, right? You can only go get the guys that are available to the point, right? You'd rather get somebody who's having a dominant season this season, but those guys for the most part aren't available.
That's where a Ryan Mountcastle, you have to wonder, in other words, there's only so many positions you have on a baseball field, and it would really inure to the club's long-term benefit if they could find someone that was interested in taking on Mountcastle as a project,
right?
Because right now, 23 at bats at
he got a hit, Stan.
He's got 3 hits now. He's got 3 hits. He's got 2 RBIs. He's batting 130, 259 on base, 389 OPS.
What is the amount of time before they have? I genuinely don't know this.
Well, the thing they have with him is they can option him.
Right, they can 100%. But that's
I think it's 30 days for an injury.
They can really go 30 days on a rehab assignment.
Much less? Is it 10 days?
I thought it was. How long can a rehab assignment?
It's probably 10 or 15 days, I'm guessing.
You were right. 20 days. 20 days. It's 30 days for a pitcher.
Okay.
30 days for a pitcher, 20 days.
Well, he's pitched in Little League, didn't
Sure,
he,
maybe
Ryan?
they have him go pitch tonight so that they can qualify him. Hey, Ryan.
Seriously, we're taking the risk that we can get Cease to be better. It seems.
Oh, you're trying to say, hey, this is a risk worth taking, right?
And I'm not saying it's an even up deal. I'm saying you have to throw in somebody.
I think the problem for the White Sox is they would say they have their Ryan Mountcastle and our guy Gavin Sheets, right? And I think
they give us Gavin Sheets and then
flip flop it,
Yeah,
go
yeah.
that way. We'll take your. I think that might be the issue for the White Sox.
Gavin Sheets and Ryan Mountcastle would be a great. That could be a Renicky Lowenstein.
You're right. You know what? Maybe there's something there.
First base.
Maybe there's something there. No, I wrote about the Mountcastle thing this week at Press Box. It's it is very awkward. It's an extraordinarily awkward thing that faces the Orioles, because it's one thing to say, hey, you got to make a roster move right now. Well, nobody's going to be all that hurt by Ryan McKenna disappearing from the Major League roster. Nobody is going to, as much fun as that was
Mrs. McKenna.
Okay, maybe Mrs. McKenna will be bothered by it. As much fun as that was last Saturday and as wild as it was, there will be nobody that will be up in arms if Ryan McKenna or Ryan
pitchforks aren't coming out.
Correct.
Right.
Nobody's going to be excited about Ryan Mountcastle, but nobody's going to be disappointed about Ryan McKenna being gone.
Right.
So there will be no anger about that. But if he's here, what is he doing? And that's the more difficult part of it, which is he can't be your everyday first baseman.
No.
There's just no way. So he's here to hit against lefties. That's That's it. That's the entirety of what Ryan Mountcastle's
doing. Right
doing.
Now, that's sort of what he brings to the table.
And where I got to as I wrote this column is you probably end up doing that for the rest of the season as long as you can.
Yeah.
And then try
and
to
you hope that situations arise where he starts to produce.
Correct.
And then he has some value going into the offseason.
That's what I think ends up happening throughout all of this. I don't think you're in a place where you truly option him. That feels dramatic, although again,
it's a possibility though.
And if part of this is where he's at mentally, then maybe it's necessary, right? Like maybe you have no choice.
Preceded your column on Mountcastle.
Well,
I wrote the piece, the sizzle and fizzle.
They go in two ways
with the two players. And in that piece, I just you scratch your head. I think an option is really a very possible outcome to this, because you go back to, you remember Glenn Davis, not Chris Davis?
Yes, of course.
I was the one. Do you remember?
Well, at least they didn't give anything up for Glenn Davis.
Do you remember the story? No. Do you remember the story, though, when they did option him to the minor leagues?
I don't remember that, no.
They optioned him to the minor leagues, and he got in a fight at a bar.
Oh, you know what? Maybe I do remember that now. Yeah.
You know who was responsible for having him optioned? You're looking at him.
Oh, yeah?
I mentioned to Larry Lucchino. I said, I said to him, isn't the best thing to do with Glenn Davis right now is option him? And he goes, option him? And I said, the guy is not going to provide you any value at the major league level right now. I said, if he goes back, at least he can, if he goes back and does really well, maybe he's that player again, or you recapture some value in him. And he goes, I wonder if we could option him. And then 2 days later, they optioned him to, was it Rochester at the time?
Yeah, it would have been Rochester.
But ironically, the bar fight was in Norfolk. They were playing.
Okay, all right. Griffin, this is a genuine. I don't know if you know the answer. Do you know who the Orioles traded to the Astros to get Glenn Davis?
No.
It's an age thing, right? Because this is one of the most famous trades.
What year was this?
This would have been an 89,
88,
90. It might have been 90 after the 90 season.
The guy that you're bringing up, I don't know. Biggio,
they traded Pete Harnish.
So Pete Harnish was a heck of Pete Harnish. Let's start with that. Pete Harnish had a 13-year major league career as a pitcher. Was an all-star. Pete Harnish was a solid player.
Yeah.
Next,
they gave up
outfielder
Steve Finley, who was he was a seemingly failed rookie with the Orioles. He had played, I think, in '89 and '90 with the ball club, but he didn't appear to be doing as well as we thought he should be doing.
Had an 18-year major league career,
Wow.
Twice an all-star, 5-time Gold Glove
really
winner.
A player, ended up becoming a really big player with San Diego, with the Padres.
And was part of it was a big part of the Diamondbacks World Series team as well.
And then when we give credit to the Houston Astros for who the third player was, you got to realize that they then flipped that player for Jason Grimsley.
Yeah, it didn't work out. Didn't work out for them.
The guy's name was Kurt Schilling.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
We had picked up Schilling in the Mike Boddicker deal. We acquired Brady Anderson and Kurt Schilling for Mike Boddicker. And Brady Anderson had a really tough first couple of years with the team. And partly by necessity, Johnny Oates said, hey, he's going to play every day. And he committed to Brady Anderson, and Anderson had, a couple really incredible seasons.
No doubt.
And had, what do you have, a 14-year?
Oh, yeah.
14-year career?
Oh, yeah. By the way, it was after the 90 season.
It was after the 90 season.
Right after the 1990 season.
Because I remember it wasn't the season going into Camden Yards.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, correct.
But my brother did the advertising for the Orioles and his agency, Shanahan, Burton, and Charles. And they came up, my brother, I remember him telling me, this is after Glenn Davis, and the Orioles acquire Glenn Davis, and he immediately gets, something happens to him in the offseason. He had what's known as a strained or something, spinal accessory nerve. It's in your neck, and his shoulder atrophied. But my brother, they were filming a commercial, and they were underhand. My brother's right-hand person and director of photography or something, Kenny Klumpus, they were throwing underhand to the hitters, and they wanted to shoot like them really hitting the ball really hard. And he says, he goes, I'm telling you, Kenny Klumpus is like underhanding the ball, and the guy couldn't hit the ball.
Not great. Not great. Not ideal.
Yeah.
Maybe knew something might be
now,
wrong.
I found out, this is an ironic story. I didn't find it out like as an investigative reporter. I saw a doctor years later who was a neighbor of Glenn Davis, and he gave me the inside scoop on how he got hurt. He had a big trampoline in his backyard.
Oh, my.
And you go back when I was a kid, trampoline centers were really a big thing. It started out in L.A. Your kids go and they jump up and, for 30 minutes.
Oh, they're back. They're back.
And
trampoline centers are back.
Yeah, but that's why they closed, because everybody was getting hurt on them. So Chris Davis, Glenn Davis.
Yeah. Ironically. Couple of quick ones. Stan the Fan is here. We're going to do this hour, by the way. We're going to get into some Orioles first half superlatives. We'll do. You all right?
Yeah.
You forgot that. Yeah. All right. Very good. We will do, of course, like we did last year, where we took Stan to the cleaners because he had to take us out to lunch. The week of the All-Star game, we'll do our second half preview, but we will do first. Tomorrow is the midway point of the season. Tomorrow is the 81st game. So we'll do some first half superlatives later this hour.
I hate the fact that the All-Star game isn't until there's like 92
Yeah,
games
it's always
played.
been weird, right?
Yeah.
It's always been very odd the way that has worked out. I bring that up, though. Just a couple of things from this week to cover. They bring up Westberg. You can sort of see they're going to be doing the bit where he's going to be playing a couple of different positions instead of committing him to, hey, you're the second baseman, you're the third, whatever that is. Does that bother you? Are you accepting of that's just the way that the Orioles are going to do things moving forward?
Doesn't bother me as so long as it doesn't impact Gunnar Henderson. And it looks like Gunnar he's not all the way where we want him to be, but he's probably been for 3.5, 4 weeks. He's been a good bit closer to that player.
Yep.
And they've started to move him around a little bit, and he seems to be fine with it right now. I was worried earlier that moving him around was going to jerk him around. They're not ready, just like they got this issue with Mountcastle.
They're not ready to commit to either Mateo or Frazier.
Mateo, yeah. And Frazier, it's Frazier. The Luke Jackson, our esteemed managing editor, says, I've seen enough Frazier, more than enough Frazier. I think he was playing too much for what his abilities are right now.
Well,
Adam Frazier.
The defense is it is an abomination. Like there's no that's the disappointing part to me. Like I
don't call it an abomination. I know what plays you're talking about. Those balls have really been very hard hit.
I believe Baseball Savant has him in the first percentile defensively at second base.
Okay.
Like, I mean, it's
like,
been
even Wednesday night. Like, I felt like.
Well, yeah, that one.
And the Reds are obviously a fast team anyway, but like there were balls that it just felt like he could have gotten to, and
that's been the disappointing part to me. Like the disappointing part to me, I think he's been offensively kind of about what I expected him to be, and. When at the beginning of the year we were talking about him as sort of Rougned Odor plus, I was seeing why we felt that way. He was a more consistent Rougned Odor, but the defense, yes, outs above average. He is in the first percentile.
Really?
Arm strength, 6th percentile. Like it has just been really, really rough defensively for Adam Frazier.
Do we have
this season.
set plays that we remember where his arm strength being 6th percentile really impacted?
I mean
that's fair. Like the arm strength.
Yeah, typically you're second. Typically at second base, you can hide
it.
Right,
he's a second baseman.
Correct. You can typically hide that.
Or third baseman.
But the balls that are just the ones that he's.
Let's be totally honest. He's not going to be here next year.
Well, there's no doubt he's not going to be here next year, right?
And he's, to me, I'd say he's been overall a plus player. The last couple weeks, again. I remember how, and it's always like we talk about it in the NFL circles, where the most popular player in town is the backup quarterback, until he starts playing. But the Orioles had a player named Jim Dwyer, who was a terrific player. And he was really coming off the bench as a pinch hitter or a platoon player, and he was a left-handed hitter, and he was doing phenomenally. And everybody said, that's who should be playing every day. And they started playing him every day. And
you found out he's
about
not
2
really an
weeks
everyday
later, he's
player.
not an
Right.
everyday
I get
player.
that. I
And I
completely
think
get
that's the truth with Frazier. You know, if Frazier had,
Yeah, I don't
if
think
Frazier
I would.
had about 300 at bats, and they
Yeah.
were mostly against the right-handers that are really tough on your right-handed hitters. You know, the really good right-handers. He'd probably be fine. But he's not a guy you want to pay $8 million to.
Yeah, I think if the argument is that he should just not be on the team, I would probably tend to agree that I don't think you should be that dramatic about
Right.
Adam Frazier. Again, even though, and I'm
Right, he could be a useful sort of guy. The fact he plays the outfield a little bit, but I've never really seen him in the outfield.
yeah, I've never really seen him in the
And
outfield
if you guys
either.
are
but-
saying he's a
Well, and by the way, I thought, like, again, these numbers would suggest he's having a miserable offensive season too. Like,
Right.
that's the funny. I thought he was having a pretty redeemable offensive
Right.
season, but 91st percentage in whiff, or 91st percentile in whiff percentage,
Yeah.
96th percentile in K percentage. Like, there is not.
yeah.
There is very little here that would suggest that he
Seems
should
to
be.
me like he's had a few big hits.
And-
Yeah,
and that was
yeah,
the
that's-
Rougned Odor
yeah,
comparison, right? Like, he was the guy that was coming through in big moments, and he was a bit more consistent
Right.
offensively than Rougned Odor. Rougned Odor was having.
What's Frazier's OPB now? On-base
I don't
percent.
know. I can-
OBP.
I'll let Griffin.
Is it
go with
over
because-
300?
No, I've got it's 304.
304.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, Odor's was like 267 or 2.
Correct.
You know.
Now, what somebody would say is that's a really low bar. Like,
that's-
it's an extraordinarily low bar.
Yeah.
If we're setting it at
Yeah.
you're slightly better than Rougned Odor, well, you damn well better
Yeah.
be slightly better than Rougned Odor.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I started seeing
Roofy's really helping the Padres.
Oh, they're
you
killing
know,
it,
yeah.
right? I started seeing 2 to 3 weeks ago people start clamoring for Frazier to be the guy to go, and I'm like, what the hell are you guys talking? And then I started looking at the numbers. I'm like, oh my god! And I think because I am thinking on some of the bigger hits that he's had and some of those moments, it's sort of clouded
It's
the
interesting though. You know,
overall-
they do like McKenna. I mean, Brandon really likes him.
They really do like McKenna, don't they?
Yeah.
They really, and
I mean, I was scratching my head that night that they, you know, and then he hits the game-winning home
in
run.
fact, Stan, we had an entire conversation about I don't know why in a one-run game you're going to McKenna. I don't.
Right. I
Like,
would agree.
I don't think that the defense is going to make the difference in a one-run game because it's not likely. Now, I know that almost happened the other night,
Yeah.
but it's not likely that you're going to put an inning together against Batista. The more likely scenario is exactly what played out. If they're going to score a run, it's
gonna
going to
be a
be
fluke. Yeah.
someone just happened to guess right and turn on one, and
Right.
that's what happened in New York, and it's what happened against Seattle, and that's the more likely way you're going to get to Batista. Again, the goofy thing the other night where Ellie De La Cruz is the fastest guy on the planet,
Right.
and so he's able to beat out a routine ground ball to third, and then just the weird nature of the bunt. Now all of a sudden,
And Palmer had referenced it. You know, yeah, this is not the guy you want to bunt against, or something like that.
well,
Palmer
it's,
said, yeah.
and for what it's worth, they got exactly the result they wanted, which is a pop-up that should have been a double play.
yeah.
And if that had been the case, then you probably get out of the inning quickly, and you have Batista for the 10th, and you don't have to put Keegan Aiken in the game. And you know, I don't think the Keegan Aiken's long for this roster at this point. I think that we've seen quite enough there.
Seen more than enough Aiken.
I don't.
And
know.
it's funny, like 1 or 2 performances before that, he looked absolutely
Well, he had a
great.
stretch of 4 straight appearances
Yeah.
where he had pitched well at the beginning of June, and he was starting to show some value. And then the last 2 weeks have just been really a reminder that he ain't that guy. I'm just trying to pull up McKenna's defensive metrics to see like where if I guess he hasn't done enough to qualify for some of these. So that's sort of the reality. Although he does have a 73rd percentile arm strength. It's weird that he qualifies for arm strength and doesn't qualify for outs above average for what it's worth. That's just odd. Oh, no, hang on. He does. And he's only in the 32nd percentile. Now,
for outs above average.
Yeah, it's a small sample size, so I probably won't make too much about that. And it might be that the ball that he dropped in Boston, because he's played so little.
Right.
The real comparison would be Santander versus him. So what
100%. Oh, and that's the other thing, too, when we talk about them going to in a one-run game.
Right.
If Santander was a butcher in the outfield, maybe I would understand
If
this
he
a
was
little bit
Nelson
more.
Cruz. Like,
Right.
yeah.
But he's not. Like, Anthony Santander is a solid to good defensive outfielder, and that's why
I feel
it's,
very comfortable with him out there.
I have never understood the desire. And then some people were saying the other night, because Santander didn't get to the triple in the 10th inning, I don't really think McKenna's making that play either. And there's no world in which in a tie game I'm putting McKenna in.
What
for
happened on
Santander.
that play is Bonilla. I always reference.
Well, tomorrow is
Santander.
Bobby Bonilla Day. By
Is
the
it
way.
really?
Yes, it
Tomorrow?
is.
July 1st?
When's Chris Davis Day?
I don't know when Chris Davis
yeah,
Day
we'll
is.
start that.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's probably the same time.
You would think,
probably,
yeah.
Probably the same day. Anyway, Santander got too close to the wall.
Mhm.
He didn't judge soon enough that
He
couldn't
wasn't
catch
be able to
that
make the
ball.
play, right? By the way, Santander, for what it's worth, is only in the 20th percentile of outs above average. So they think very little of him. The
Defensively.
metrics
Yeah.
don't register
Yeah.
well defensively. So, again, that's where maybe the Orioles are.
And the other thing that now they have a guy named Aaron Hickson, who
Correct.
could possibly come
Covers
in
the
for
ground,
Santander.
and is a better option.
And you might be seeing less of him, Santander, in right field, too, because he might
end
get
up,
more into a platoon with O'Hearn at first.
particularly if Kowser comes up
Yeah.
sometime in the next
Yeah.
couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Adley Rutschman, not a starter in the All-Star game. Jonah Heim gets the nod.
Not a big surprise.
I don't know what else. Adley Rutschman hasn't been quite as good as Jonah Heim.
I
has
would
been.
still think that you have to look, even though we're allowed to vote online,
Mhm.
okay, I would love to know the breakdown of the votes, because Texas is probably drawn 35,000
Well,
a
but
game.
isn't this second round of voting only online? Because the first, the ballots,
so,
what you're
yeah.
talking about, was for the first.
That's
they do
right.
that.
They don't hand the ballots out anymore at the ballpark.
Oh, they don't do that at all?
No.
I don't- no.
At least I haven't seen it
Oh,
yet.
that's a good point. I guess I haven't
that's
seen him
good-
either.
I haven't seen
Yeah.
it either.
Yeah.
But I just think that the fan base in Texas.
Well, they got 4 of their guys
Yeah.
elected
Yeah.
starters to the All-Star game. They
Yeah.
clearly were motivated.
Yep.
They got Jung, they got Simeon, and
Yeah, well, I mean, it
was
also
the-
came down to a Ranger or a Blue Jay for like 7 positions, so I went with the Ranger every time I voted.
oh,
So
you
that's
feel
probably
good about
why.
yourself? Yeah, you're the
Didn't
one.
want- I didn't want
Griffin
Blue
was,
Jays
was
in
stacking
I
the ballot.
voted for McKenna and Frazier.
Those are the guys.
So I
we will
wasted my vote.
we will find
Brian
out.
Mountcastle too. And
Sunday at 5:30 is when they announce the reserves for the All-Star game. I would assume that Adley Rutschman will get in, Batista will get in, and the question will be if Hayes.
Wells.
And with
Hayes.
Judge out, you wonder if Hayes doesn't have a shot.
I think Hayes has a shot.
Yeah.
I mean,
He could end up being a starter because Judge isn't going to play.
Just a couple people have brought that up. It's
Yeah.
possible.
possible.
It's possible. I don't disagree with that. But we'll find that out on Sunday, which Orioles will be a reserve. I think we can be confident that 2 will be, and then
they should just start Felix Bautista
why?
because it'd be awesome. Just
Okay.
they just come out as the
That-
first
that would
inning.
be- that would be
Felix
pretty.
Bautista
Okay.
throw one of the 3.
That would be
I
very
mean,
interesting.
it would be different. I mean, I don't know that.
There's really no reason.
There's
There's
there
no
hasn't been a
reason
great
not
start.
to
There hasn't been a
except,
great starter.
except
Plus, he'd
for
have more time.
Who are they starting?
McClanahan probably.
Yeah,
I
McClanahan.
guess
I mean, like that's who will probably start the All-Star game. Although he started last year, so maybe he says I.
Who's
I
the
don't-
other? There's one other guy in the American League that's really having a good. Garrett Cole could start.
Yeah, he could start.
Yeah.
That's totally possible. I understand what you're saying, but I would say that it's still for Fox. They would like to announce. They would like to have baseball announce a big name starter for the All-Star game.
Right.
To try to, you got to be tuned in right at whatever 8:00 when the game
I guess they could go Ohtani.
8:37. So Ohtani was voted in as the DH.
Yeah.
Right. So how? I
mean,
the hell, just pitch him for God's
Yeah, I
sakes.
know.
What are we doing? Just
an inning.
just pitch him for an inning. Jesus. Eovaldi's had a really good year. It could be Eovaldi too. Like there are other guys that it could be.
McClanahan's probably the
It's
choice,
probably
uh,
McClanahan.
yeah.
Yep. All right. When we come back in, let's go over our first half superlatives for the Orioles. Stan the Fan Charles is here. Today's show brought to you by PressBoxOnline.com/offers. PressBox is offering new sports bettors the best sign-up bonuses and promos from the 7 legal online sports books. Go to PressBoxOnline.com/offers right now and get offers like $150 in bonus bets from DraftKings after you place your first $10 bet, or up to $1,250 in bonus bets from Caesars. Time is limited to get the best offers from all of the sports books. Go to PressBoxOnline.com/offers and sign up today.
It's another another exciting weekend of affordable family fun at Prince George's Stadium with the Bowie Bay Sox. It's our Independence Weekend celebration starting on Friday the 30th with our Pride Night. A special ticket package gets you a Bay Sox rainbow hat, and then July 1st through 3rd, major fireworks shows each and every night with a special jersey auction on sale. Get your tickets now by calling 301-805-6000 or anytime online at baysox.com. The Bowie Bay Sox. Let us be your 9-inning vacation.
The All-America Senior Game powered by New Balance will be back at Johns Hopkins Homewood Field on July 29th. The most decorated girls and boys lacrosse players in the country have been invited to play in what is the premier lacrosse event of the year. Every college coach wants their players in this game, and if you dream of being in this game, you start by trying out for one of your regional underclass teams this summer. The best against the best. Get your tickets now at allamericalacrosse.com.
Are you a diehard O's fan looking for the perfect way to show your team spirit? Look no further than Birdland Sports. Birdland Sports is a small business run by fans for fans. They offer a wide variety of unofficial O's merchandise, from the Birds Are Coming tees to player cartoon shirts and more. And the best part? Their prices are more affordable than the big guys. So head to birdlandsports.com and grab your gear today. Show your support for the Birds with Birdland Sports.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Dave Ginsburg remembers Goose as he looks back on the impact that late Tony Saragusa had both on and off the field here in Baltimore. Plus, he explains how Goose's kids are working to continue that legacy with the Goose Flights program. Also inside, Todd Karpovich profiles the path Tyler Wells has taken to becoming a star in the Orioles rotation. And you'll find a special summer travel guide with information about events and activities throughout the state. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores. And you can always find the entire edition, as well as the best daily coverage of the O's, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Hey, O's fans, cheer on the Orioles against the Minnesota Twins at 7:05 on Friday, June 30th at Camden Yards. Be one of the first 20,000 fans, 21 and over, to receive an Orioles floppy hat presented by Miller Lite and enjoy a fun-filled Floppy Friday at the Yard. Don't miss out on one of your favorite giveaways and stay post-game for the Birdland Summer Music Series presented by Miller Lite with DJ Diesel, a.k.a. Shaquille O'Neal. Purchase your tickets today at Orioles.com/tickets.
It's a Maryland thing you wouldn't understand.
Where the waves meet the shore, you will find Dorchester County. Hi, this is Jimmy Charles. When I think of Maryland, I think Dorchester County on the eastern shore where it's open for making memories. Dorchester County, it's a Maryland thing. For more info, visit www.visitdorchester.org.
It's a Maryland thing. Hell yeah. It's a Maryland thing. Hell yeah.
If you miss anything on the show, don't forget that you can watch full episodes at youtube.com/pressboxonline, and you can download podcasts on Apple, iTunes, Amazon, and Grindr. Wait, did I say Grindr? I don't think that you would find it on Grindr. Not that I know it's on Grindr or anything, I swear. On second thought, you know what? I don't care what you think. Here's Glenn.
Stan, by the way, I appreciate you showing your support. Big weekend, obviously, here in the state of Maryland. And with T-shirt today, I guess you're showing that you're excited with legal weed, right? And, like, it's a big, it's a big moment.
Oh, it's one of the big things.
Big moment here in the state of Maryland as that becomes official. Tomorrow is the day. So don't walk around today. They're going to get you. But tomorrow morning, feel free. Go ahead and light up. Stan, you had a special co-host and a special guest last night.
Yeah, Gary Stein is back in town, but he was just getting back from his daughter's wedding
out in San Diego.
Out in San Diego, and we were going to have Jay Cornegay on, one of the odds makers for Superbook.com, and without Gary there, I suggested that to the VP of Marketing for Superbook that I invite Bill Ordine, who writes for Gambling.com, used to be our gaming writer before legalized sports betting. We had a gaming writer. And Bill was able to do it, so Bill and Jay have known each other for a long time. So Bill Ordine was on with us, asked some really good questions. It was very interesting about what separates Superbook from the other more familiar names that we know, like FanDuel and DraftKings. Yep. Not knocking anybody, but I don't know that those people have like a podcast with their odds makers on. Jay Cornegay and John Murray both answer questions. If you tweet them a question, they'll answer. That's an interesting, advantage they have over the other books, that you get some touch and some feel with the people making the odds.
And we're going to be hooking you up with some opportunities with the Superbook here in the coming weeks that we'll be telling you more about. So make sure you stay tuned for that, because we will, I think next week, be able to give you some of those details about how we can hook you guys up with some special offers from Superbook. So we're looking forward to that.
Just think Tippy Martinez.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly what you should be thinking about. Michael Jordan even. That's what you should be thinking about.
Yep.
Facebook.com/PressBoxSports. Click on the videos tab in order to find that show, or YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline. PressBoxOnline.com/video. Are you guys doing the Monday show this week?
We're not doing a Monday show, and Luke and Ross probably don't even know that yet, but Jen and I made that decision.
Yeah.
I'll let them know.
And for the record, there's also not going to be a GCR on Monday.
Oh, my God.
I know. Ridiculous. Who would... I think everybody on the planet is dealing with the same thing. Who wants to go to work on Monday when you know you have off on Tuesday? It's the worst.
So there's not going to be a GCR Monday or Tuesday?
No.
Correct?
We'll be off on Monday and Tuesday, and then we'll be back on Wednesday, and everything will be good from there.
And when are you going on vacation?
End of the month. You and I can talk about that after the show today. We need.
Why can't we talk about it now?
I got other things I want to do. I got other.
Kidding. I'm
speaking
kidding.
of which, in about 20 minutes, Bobby Nightengale, who is Bob Nightengale's son, Bobby Nightengale, who covers the Twins for the Minnesota Star Tribune, will be joining us. We will talk about the Twins. We had reached out to him earlier in the week because I thought he was still in Cincinnati. And when the Orioles were playing the Reds, I was like, well, the Reds are the hottest team in baseball.
Was he covering the Reds, or was
he was covering
for MLB.com, right?
Yes. Or was it the Inquirer? No, I don't remember.
No, it might have been the Inquirer.
Might have been the Inquirer. Okay. So I had Griffin call him. I'm like, let's see if we can get Bobby Nightengale on. And he said,
great.
yeah, the thing is I don't do that anymore. So wouldn't you know, the next team the Orioles are playing.
Now, Bobby how old is Bobby? Because when you hear the name Bob Nightengale,
right,
and then you hear Bobby, you say he must be like 14.
Well, I think he's in his 20s.
I'm
I think
sure
he's young.
In his
yeah,
20s.
I think
yeah.
he's I think he's in his 20s. Before we do that, Stan, as I mentioned earlier, tomorrow will be the midway point of the season. Will be game number 81 for the Baltimore
So you
Orioles.
can walk down the street and smoke weed and know
And
that
exactly right. I think that's why it was set up that way. They wanted to make
and
sure
it's
you got
Bobby Bonilla Day.
Big day
Chris
tomorrow.
Davis Day. Boy, tomorrow's
It's a milestone
what
Monday.
a day tomorrow is.
Huge day on July 1st. And today, I guess, is all those events observed, because you don't celebrate on a holiday, right? Like, or a weekend.
Just let me interrupt for 1 second real quick. Sunday's Oriole game,
Yeah.
it's a great idea, is 12:05.
Yep.
Then you can go to Bowie, 6:35 on Sunday night.
And they're doing all their 4th
And there's
of
going to be
July.
fireworks
Yep.
that night, too. So I'm going to try and go because I want to see Kobe Mayo
Now I got to
play.
think about whether or not we have plans on Sunday night.
Yeah, that would be great for the kids.
I think I had all these big visions for things I could do with I got 4 days. I'm like, I got all these ideas. Then I found out I have a friend who's got a 40th birthday party on Saturday. I guess it's just nothing.
That takes up
I got to do the morning show on 105.7 on Tuesday.
The fireworks would be great to see on Sunday.
They would be very
It'd
good.
probably
to
be
see.
like 9 o'clock.
All right. Well, maybe we'll go down for that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the case. All right. Let's do some superlatives from the first half. I asked Griffin to put together some topics, and we'll just dive in. Orioles first half superlatives, and we'll share them later today at glennclarkradio.com. Griffin, where are we starting?
Let's start at the very top. Number 1, MVP. Who is the first half most valuable player for the Orioles? So start with
I think this
Glenn?
me.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I think this
Glenn.
became obvious. I think at one point it was Cedric Mullins, but unfortunately when Cedric Mullins got hurt, it kind of takes him out of the running for this. He could end up being the team MVP for the year, but I think Felix Bautista has been the MVP of the first half of the season.
Interesting. You're looking for my
Yes.
opinion? I would have thought the first month of the season it was going to be Rutschman or Mateo.
Mm-hmm.
Then I would agree that Cedric Mullins moved into that position. I can't disagree with you, but I think Austin Hayes is right there.
In the argument, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, and maybe the problem, Stan, maybe we're being unfair to Austin Hayes because what we're thinking about is what happened last year, and we don't want to buy in too much to what we've seen.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to say Austin Hayes.
All right, just to mix it up.
Just because he plays every day.
I get it.
And Felix is how about, can I say a tie?
No.
Right.
No.
I'll go
no,
Austin Hayes.
No, not going to allow
I'll
ties.
go Austin Hayes.
Who are you going to tie with? You were going to have him tied with?
Batista.
Okay. Yeah.
Not Ryan McKenna.
Not right.
Close,
or
though.
Adam Frazier.
Right there in the conversation.
All right, well, we'll zigzag here. So, Stan,
yeah.
What would be your best moments of the first half? Best moments of the Orioles' first half.
Wow. Best moment of the first half of the season. You know, that's a really good question.
I think I've got an answer.
All right, go ahead.
I think it was the night Cedric Mullins hit for the cycle. I think that was the best moment. I think that scene, just all of it, and I thought it was a special night given the year that he had been putting together, and to me it was the moment that it struck me. You need to sign this guy. You need to. He's not Adam Jones,
right?
But his value to the team is of that level. He should be here for a little while.
Yeah.
That was a special night to me, and it was a Friday night, so there was a big crowd on hand, and I don't want to say that Austin Hayes' cycle last year didn't feel that, but we didn't know yet what the Orioles were going to be at that point, and Austin Hayes wasn't quite as beloved then as Cedric Mullins has become. I just thought it was a special night, Cedric Mullins hitting for the cycle.
The one that comes back to me is the game in Texas where Bradish got hit, in the shin.
Yeah.
And Tyler Wells came in and pitched like 5 2/3 or 6 1/3 shutout innings. I guess that's right.
It was
up
an
there
early.
with me.
It was an early statement.
Yeah.
It was. I like that one. That one's pretty good.
I might be biased because we just talked to him on the show, but the Ryan O'Hearn 3-run homer in Toronto.
I mean, it was awesome.
I mean,
there's no doubt.
Yeah,
Adley's walk off. I forget who were we playing. The day game where Adley hit the walk off to dead center.
It was an extra inning game, right? Yeah.
Remember the game that guy had? I can't remember his name. He had like 9 RBIs. I can't remember his name though.
Had a couple homers too.
Who was that guy?
I don't know.
Who was that guy?
Oh, so
he
that's
like
not
disappeared.
Yeah, right.
He like
really
disappeared.
did. It really did just like disappear. Yeah. And that's the awkward part. Right. He would have been, by the way, in the conversation for MVP at one point in the season too.
Right.
That's
he
the
had
uncomfortable.
unbelievable numbers.
No doubt.
All right, next up, we will go with the.
I mean, Griffin, if you'd like to put yours on the list too, I have no problem with that.
I'm feeling Felix MVP too.
Okay, all right. Well,
then most consistent.
Then give your answer. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Ryan O'Hearn, the 3-run homer in Toronto.
That's
I
thought it was a hell of a of the games that you assumed were losses.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know that there was one that compares. That game was done. It was over, and it wasn't the end of the world because it was the second game of a 3-game series.
Right.
You still had the chance to win the series the next day. No big deal. All good. On the road against a good Toronto team, life will go on, and then everything.
Who started that game?
That's a great question.
The starting pitcher.
I will try to pull it up.
I think I was.
Was that one of Gibson's first bad starts?
Maybe.
No.
Was that the Grayson Manoah game? I feel like it was.
It was Grayson Rodriguez, I think, started.
That sounds right. Hang on, I'm pulling it up. Right, I've got it. The 6-5 Orioles win. Game was started by
Grayson Rodriguez.
Yes, it was Grayson.
There you
Rodriguez.
go.
Yeah, Grayson Rodriguez. That was when I was.
Boy, and you talk about how disappointed we are in Grayson Rodriguez. Look at what's going on with Alec Manoah.
That is a nightmare.
That
is
complex
a nightmare.
How about an even up trade, Ryan Mountcastle?
So for Manoah, you sure you want to? You
He can let up 11 runs in our golf course.
I guess.
Well, it's not like I want to bring him to the majors.
I hear you.
I think he could help the rookie league
Okay,
team.
well, that's good as they pursue.
All right, most questionable decision of the first half. We'll go to Glenn.
How they've handled DL Hall.
Okay,
what is that? My God. To the point where we can't even talk about DL Hall in converse. When Stan was talking about the bullpen, I can't even bring up DL Hall's name anymore because I don't know if he's alive. Like I have.
That has been one of the most mishandled things I've ever witnessed. I'm guessing that he privately last year, when they brought him up, he just said to them,
I'm not a reliever.
I'm not a relief pitcher. I don't want to be a relief pitcher. And they said, okay.
Yeah.
Because it makes no sense whatsoever to watch Keegan Aiken come into ball, like a game like the other night. Even with his wildness, you know that they're not going to really hit the ball off of
Well, the idea is that you like somebody who can get some strikeouts.
Yeah.
That's in the extra inning rule
is built
gives
for DL
additional
right.
value
even if he just pitched in the 10th inning.
Correct. Guys that are capable of getting strikeouts. That is the value now. Is you need somebody to put in there that you think can get a strikeout or two. Which is, by the way, the thing that Baumann did. I don't think we're talking enough about it because the McKenna home run dwarfs it.
Right.
What Baumann did, and sort of reminding, because he had been a little shaky.
He's been somewhat shaky, yeah.
But then that, and obviously his outing this week, he has reminded everybody that in the 10th inning last Saturday was about as big balls as it gets from Baumann to come in that situation.
I like long term. I like Baumann. Short term, he's not in my full circle of trust. Brian Baker is out of my circle.
Oh, he's got to be out of your circle of trust.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would say right now I'm teetering between who I trust more between Baumann and Cano, right? There's two guys you really trust.
Yeah.
Batista and Coulomb. And then it's Baumann and Cano and
they're the next two. I mean, Cano is still pitching well, but he
it's
never
an
comes
adventure.
in and not gives up a leadoff hit.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You got one that besides DL Hall, or you just
I'm going to agree with you
Okay.
on DL Hall. I mean, that's when you say the worst moment, I would
Or
guess that
most questionable decision. That's
most
what it was.
questionable decision. In retrospect, I think you could say that bringing Grayson up when they brought him up was probably a mistake.
Okay.
I think,
and it bordered on how they treated Kevin Gausman, and this is an entirely different regime. And I reread that piece. I didn't realize I saw this Caleb Joseph. We got it all wrong on Gausman, and I said to Jen, "Where can I get that piece?" She said it was last year.
Yeah.
And I read it the other day. Luke sent it to me, and I said, "Boy, that's what I always said about him." And part of it was not making a guy at the minor leagues really earn that promotion to the major leagues. Right. It was almost going, boy, we can't trust Cole Irvin, so he's back. So we really need Grayson Rodriguez. You can't develop a pitcher and bring him up because you need him. He's got to be ready to seamlessly come up to the major league.
So are you putting that's your answer?
Yeah, I'd say that
calling
that
up
was
Grayson too early.
Yeah.
Okay.
Called up Grayson too early.
I think I'm going to say waiting until June 27th to call up Jordan Westbrook. That's
okay.
That's a great.
Okay.
Think we should
it definitely seemed like it was about 3 weeks overdue.
Yeah. All right. Now, biggest surprise. Stan, start with you. Biggest surprise.
Biggest surprise
of the first half.
I got to be honest with you, it's not all his fault. I think the number is that stolen base success rate that they're having against Adley Rutschman. He's 9 for 49, I think. But
it might even be 9 of 51.
But while I never bought into his arm strength as being, I still love him as a catcher, love him as an offensive player, even though he's not fantastic this year. I still love the player. The bigger blame goes to the fact that Cano and Bautista almost don't even pay any attention to the guys on the bases.
9 of 51 now.
9 of 50
for the season. It's a good one. It's a good one. It's alarming. And we talked about it the other day. I wonder how much of the pitchers it's now getting in his head.
Well, I think that's part of how bad it looks.
Yes,
because he actually should take the ball 9 out of 10 of those throws and just save his arm strength because he has absolutely zero chance. Yeah. And he knows it.
And the only thing is the risk of the ball getting thrown away.
And he knows it, and he's jumping up too fast and releasing too quickly. He knows it. I'll tell you one other thing that I'm shocked by. This is in all of baseball. The other night, we saw Cedric Mullins come up, get a hit, and it was at a key moment in the game, and we said, we need him to steal base. And the Cincinnati pitcher threw over twice. And what did I predict before the season started? I predicted there would be a lot of catchers
that would
and
start,
teams would do pitching out. And they pitched out and they
got
threw them out.
Yep, 100%.
I almost think in key moments in games that Bautista or Cano could almost do that, is like throw over twice to lull the guy and then fire a 102-mile-an-hour fastball, which Rutschman catches
and is ready, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go pleasant with my surprise.
Yeah.
I'm
How
torn.
right I've been on so many things.
I'm gonna kind of cheat and make it a combination of two things. I'm gonna make it Hicks and O'Hearn.
Yeah. That's a good
and Cano would have been the answer, right? Like, it would have been overwhelming that it was Cano at one point in the season. But the Hicks and O'Hearn thing, that they have been able to stay afloat.
That's a good one.
It's insane that they've been able to make those two guys be quality baseball players. And I don't know that they'll still, like, we might get to the end of the year and we might say that both of them turned into pumpkins. I don't know, but I don't know, man. It's wild.
About 3 weeks or 3.5 weeks ago, I was a guest on the morning show over on WBAL with C4 and Brian Neiman, and they asked me, "What's Hicks going to do?" And I said, "Hicks is here for one of two things are going to happen." I said, either in 12 days, when Colton Cowser's healthy, if Hicks bombs out, they'll just quickly release him, or I said he's going to come here without the negativity of the fans and the media in New York, and he's going to have a breath of fresh air. And thank God that's what happened.
No question.
I'm going to go Dean Kramer after his horrid April.
Okay.
Very good.
I mean, he's turned in, I think, obviously wins don't, say a whole lot, but I mean, he has
he's
the
been
most
very
wins.
solid.
He's
and
almost been our stopper.
And again, going into Atlanta, that he was pitching for his life at that point.
Yeah.
So that's a good one.
And he feels like he's kind of been the same. Who's pitching tonight? Dean Kramer.
Yep.
And we're on a 2-game
and you
spiral,
feel some amount of confidence in it.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Biggest disappointments of the first half of the season.
Biggest disappointment.
Yes.
Oh, boy, I mean, we've kind of covered all of these things, haven't we?
I would say even can I go first on that?
Yeah.
I'll even say, even given that he was my answer on the biggest mistake, I think that Grayson Rodriguez wasn't better. Wasn't capable of being even a serviceable major league pitcher.
Okay. I'll go. I don't want to pile on, but I think I'd have to go Frazier here. He's the guy that you spent $8 million on, and I didn't realize 2 weeks ago how bad it was because I wasn't looking at the peripherals, right? Like, I was just thinking of the big hits, and I get it. He's still got another big hit this week, obviously, but the peripherals would tell you he's having a dreadful season, like a truly dreadful season, and you spend $8 million on the guy at a time where, and I get it. Somebody would say, well, $8 million, that's nothing. Well, for the Orioles, unfortunately, that's something. So I'll go Frazier.
Mine may be too easy. I'm going to go Cole Irvin. I mean, he has brought absolutely
no,
nothing.
You know what? That's a better answer. Jesus, that's the best answer there was. God,
I still am a believer in Cole.
I mean, I hope so too. Maybe he can be the second half, MVP.
I hope, but he's right. There's been a big ball of nothing there.
Last one here, unsung hero of the first half for the Baltimore Orioles.
Unsung hero of the first half.
Under the radar guy.
Is this Stan first?
Stan went first.
Unsung hero. I guess Danny Colomb.
That's a good one.
I think that's where I'm going to go to. I mean, he's been
copycat.
Yeah, right. Come up with your own answer.
I was about to say I can go first here, and then Stan was like, "I'm going to go Danny Coulomb." But yeah, I mean, Danny Coulomb. No one outside of Baltimore probably knows who Danny Coulomb is, and I'm
gonna go Bradish.
Yeah.
Like, as far as unsung hero is concerned, like, guy that has just kind of delivered. Like,
he's good.
He's really become an extraordinarily reliable pitcher. We're talking about Dean Kramer as being a big surprise. He's still a guy who's pitching to a 4.5 ERA this season, right? Like, Kyle Bradish is pitching to a 3.75 ERA. He's pitching to a 1.1 something WHIP.
So why isn't Tyler Wells an unsung hero? Or is he sung?
I think I'm still worried about the innings and the home runs. Like, Bradish, I have so much faith at this point that he's just in your rotation all season, and you can count on him. That
By the way, let me just change gears real quick. A player that we didn't mention at all, none of the three
That's
of
it.
us.
That was the last for your list?
Was that the
yes.
last? Okay,
Yeah,
I was going to revert back.
One, yeah.
I was reverting back to MVP. Santander has had a really
he's
terrific
been the last
year.
3 weeks. He's been the MVP by far. Yeah. He got off to a bit of a slow start, and that probably takes him out of.
It's what makes this season so interesting. I mean, you could make an argument for every single guy that they've been the MVP at some point.
To the point, what you're saying is there have been few guys that have been really always on from game 1 to game 81, right? Like there have not been. Batista is the closest, and even in that, like he's had a cup. It's not like he hasn't blown saves.
Going back to the most disappointing player, I guess we could also throw CNL Perez in there.
Oh, God, could we throw CNL Perez in that conversation? There is,
Let's keep our fingers crossed. It's been a little bit better.
It's been a little bit better. That is true.
Velocity is still there. Like 97 the other night.
Just the results have not been. They've been really, really bad. All right, that was good, Griffin. We'll get those up. We will. I'll have Griffin post those at glennclarkradio.com a little bit later on today. Our first half superlatives for the Baltimore Orioles. Hour number 1 of today's show is in the books. It's been brought to you by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines, so you can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today. Orioles' final homestand before the All-Star break, or final home series before the All-Star break, gets underway tonight, and a lot going on. Of course, Stan, I know you're over the moon. You're going to check out DJ Diesel tonight, correct? Like
no question about
it. No
doubt.
doubt, you can't miss DJ Diesel.
Aren't Jim Palmer and Ben McDonald going to perform with them?
I've heard. I did not even think about when they announced it.
Are they going to do a 4-man booth? Shaq.
Because they are doing a 3-man booth this weekend with Palmer and
Yeah.
McDonald.
Yeah.
I don't remember which of them is doing. I think McDonald's doing the Peacock broadcast on Sunday. One of them. I think it's Ben.
Yeah. They trend younger.
Although they had Palmer do the last one, but that was because Ben was out in Omaha, so he was unavailable.
What was I going to say about that? And I think both of them are going to be in New York.
Oh, they're going to do another 3-man booth then. Okay.
I think, and Palmer told me he was with the team through Minnesota. Not meaning this weekend.
You mean on the road?
On the road.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Maybe trying that out.
Just going all week with the 3-man booth.
They seem to have a nice budget right now for things at Madison.
By the way, I can confirm that it's Ben McDonald and Glenn Perkins who will be doing the broadcast on Peacock on Sunday. With that,
Mrs. Perkins' son?
It is. And very, very. Look at you. With that in mind, we're not. Maybe it's funny because this is the Orioles are facing a first-place team this weekend.
Yep.
Just a first-place team with a sub-500 record as the Minnesota Twins come to town. Let's find out a little bit more about the Minnesota Twins. Joining us now, he covers the Twins for the Star Tribune out in Minnesota. He is Bobby Nightengale, and he is with us here on GCR. Bobby, it's Glenn and Stan the Fan Charles here in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you for taking a minute for us this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Obviously, as we kind of joked about, the Twins are in first place, so all's good, but they're also not a very good baseball team. Why has it not clicked for the Twins this year the way that maybe on paper you would look and think that it probably should have been clicking a little bit better?
Yeah, their offense has been a huge issue. I mean, Rocco Baldelli, their manager, just called them out pretty publicly after their last game. They just got swept in Atlanta. Just about kind of the frustration with the offense all year. But Carlos Correa is having the worst offensive season of his career. Byron Buxton, they moved to a DH so they could keep him healthy, keep him in the lineup, and he hasn't had a great offensive year either. So the two guys you're really counting on, saying those could be your top performers, those guys aren't hitting the way you expected. Joey Gallo's not strikes out a ton, hitting below 200. So I mean they're on pace to shatter the all-time record for strikeouts amongst an offense. So there's a lot of issues with the offense. They're just not scoring. You know, they're struggling to score 2 runs a game, and they've had great pitching, but it almost feels like that's been wasted based off how the offense has performed the first half.
Hey, Bobby, I know you didn't cover the team in spring training, I don't believe, but the other big disappointment has got to be the third baseman who looked like he was kind of like all-world the second half of the year, Miranda.
Yeah, and he's back in AAA right now.
And
but you're right. I mean, another guy they counted upon to take a step forward. And he didn't.
Is he struggling even at AAA?
He's turned it around lately, but he's not hitting for power.
Okay.
Kind of hitting for average.
Okay.
But not a ton of homers. Not kind of where they were hoping he would take the next step.
Bobby, that all being said, it still feels like a team that's capable of going, especially in that division
starting rotation.
And we'll come to that in a second. We're going to see a couple of them this weekend. It is the belief that this is baseball. In a month, the Twins could be fine. Are they trying to be aggressive going to the deadline because they're in a division that they can still easily win? Like, what is the mindset from the top at this point when it comes to the Twins?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why Baldelli called him out publicly after the last game, just saying, we can't play like this. It's unacceptable. Nothing's going to get fixed if you keep trying to do the same thing over and over again. And kind of rip the team for the lack of offense adjustments during games. So, I mean, I think the urgency's coming up and saying, yeah, sure, we're in first place, but the record's below 500. They're nowhere where they need to be. They got swept by Tampa Bay earlier this month, swept by Atlanta. So when they've played elite teams, they've been crushed. So I think they're looking at it as, they've had some measuring sticks this month. Sure, they still believe in the guys. Carlos Correa, he's still an elite shortstop. Byron Buxton still should be a good hitter. So, I mean, there's still a lot of faith that they can turn it around offensively. But I think once the end of the first half hit, I think that was kind of the realization was, okay, this can't keep continuing, and something has to change. Just because you're in a bad division, you can't kind of rely on that. You're still a below 500 team at this point.
One bright, shining example of what's going on in Minnesota, though, is the comeback of Royce Lewis. Can you talk a little bit about the former number one player and how he's looked to you?
Yeah, I mean, he looks like a guy who's been in the league for a lot longer than he has. I mean, I think he's played less than 50 career games, but, coming back from 2 ACL surgeries, that's a huge question mark. I mean, that's a lot to ask for. And he's come back immediately this season, missed the first couple months, but came back and is kind of provided a nice boost to the lineup. Really good at putting the ball in play. He's been pretty clutch when he's been up to the plate in late inning situations. So he's been kind of everything they could have wanted. Former number one overall pick. So obviously the talent's always been there, but I think 2 ACL injuries causes a lot of concern for anybody. So the fact he's still running well, the athleticism's still there, he's still hitting, it has been a great sign. I mean, he's been one of the big positives.
He is. Bobby Nightengale covers the Twins for the Star Tribune. He's with us here on Glenn Clark Radio. Bobby, as you referenced, as Stan brought up, the pitching is still outstanding. We're going to see 2 of them this weekend. Tonight, Pablo Lopez goes. But then tomorrow, Bailey Ober. We started to see it a year ago. How has he turned into one of the more consistent pitchers in the American League?
Yeah, I think you hit it with consistent. I mean, he's just a guy who it seems like every time he goes out there, it's 6 innings, 2 runs, 6 innings, 3 runs. Quality start level, which that's been the key. I mean, he doesn't have the overpowering stuff that I think Pablo Lopez and Sonny Gray have, where he's not going to rack up tons and tons of strikeouts and get a ton of swings and misses like those guys. But he throws a ton of strikes. He stays on the attack. He gets ahead in counts. And sometimes it's easy as that when you're in command on the mound. And I'm sure his height, he's 6'9". Coming from that angle, it's probably a little bit tougher on hitters, even if it's not overpowering stuff. But that's been a huge thing for him. He's been so consistent for them.
Bobby, I got a little trick question for you because, again, I don't think am I right? You weren't with the Twins at the start of the season, correct?
Yeah, I was with the Reds until about a month ago.
Danny Coulombe. I'm wondering if the Twins, and I'm not trying to make too much of it because he was injured pretty much 95% of 2022. But when they DFA'd him, was it the type of thing they thought they'd re-sign him very quickly, and they were surprised that somebody took him because he's been like sort of really tremendous
revelation
with
in
the
Baltimore.
Orioles.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just one of those. Yeah, I don't know if it was 95% chance they thought he'd get back, but one of those, you have the 40-man crunch, you're trying to fine roster spots.
Yep.
You have some points where it's like, maybe we can take advantage of this and, get him in the minor leagues and, establish depth there. And, give credit to Baltimore. Baltimore's done a great job, not just with him, but with a lot of guys where they've taken advantage. I mean, even from the Reds, Cionel Perez, I remember just got guys they've kind of reclamation projects that they've been able to fix and have a lot of success.
Obviously, a guy that came from the Twin system in Yenir Cano has turned out all right for the Orioles. Let me go the other way. The guy that was on the other side of that trade. Can you tell us, maybe a little bit more about what's going on with Jorge Lopez? We know there's a mental health situation, and he's such a good guy. He's a guy that was so easy to root for. The success that he found here in Baltimore. Is there anything you can tell us about what's been going on with Jorge Lopez this season?
Yeah, I mean, he said it was one of those things where he didn't really realize how bad it was getting until the team sat him down and was like, "Hey, we think you should probably take a mental break and go on the injured list and take some time away from the team." Just because he's had a rough go of it. In April, I think it was 12 scoreless outings. So I mean, he was dominant in April. Great setup man. And then after that, it's been, I think he's like a 17 ERA in his last 10 appearances. He was throwing things in the dugout. I think it was more towards, it was just kind of, you could see the frustration building. It wasn't getting better. And I don't think it was as much to do with his stuff. Like, I don't think his stuff was playing all that differently. I think it was just the Twins saw him kind of spiraling a little bit and approached him and said, "Hey, what do you think about taking a break?" And a few days afterwards, he said he felt, a lot better. I think he's eligible to come back from the IL this weekend at some point. I don't know if that's on the table that it'll actually happen or not, but sounds like he's doing a lot better. Just one of those got into a funk, and I think it's just players are more aware, teams are more aware. Hey, maybe it's just a mental thing versus a physical thing.
That's interesting. It'd be interesting to see if there are other guys. Obviously, we've seen the Alek Manoah situation with Toronto, and it'd just be interesting to see if we see more of that as the season goes on in baseball. Bobby Nightengale, people can follow you. It's at Nightengale Jr. on Twitter, correct?
Yep.
Really appreciate spending a couple of minutes with us this morning, man. Looking forward to seeing the Twins here in Baltimore this weekend. Thanks so much for hopping on with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's Bobby Nightengale from the Star Tribune out in Minnesota, getting us ready for Orioles Twins. I don't ever want to speculate about these things, Stan, because it's not really appropriate, but I do wonder.
I'll do the speculating.
Okay, great, thank you. That way I can say I didn't. Like what we're talking about with Jorge Lopez, I do wonder. I'm not trying to say that I don't think Ryan Mountcastle had vertigo. Like I don't think they would just make that up for the sake of making it up. But I do wonder if it walked hand in hand with maybe
with sort of a collapsed sense of what he needed to do out there.
A mental break was necessary too.
Didn't they mention twice when they sat him in
thought
games that he was sort of needed a mental refresher?
I absolutely remember that being a thing, and obviously it hasn't looked great on the other side. So
Brandon has always been pretty straightforward with us as a media, and he said that he wondered, what made me believe that it really was vertigo is he said he wondered if he had it at sort of a lesser level that started the collapse, and then all of a sudden it became more something he was spiraling, and I don't know.
I don't know either. I am not opposed to mental health being something that we take very seriously.
You look at players like Alek Manoah. That he was so damn good last year, and now it's like that person isn't there right now.
Correct.
So
if that means you don't need 50, you need 60 days. You need to go speak to somebody. You need to get somewhere else. I mean, whatever you got. I am in favor of treating that very seriously and doing what you need to do in order to make it work. And if Ryan Mountcastle continues to struggle at AAA and, maybe he needs that same type of thing, I'm not opposed to it. I don't know that it's going to fix everybody. I can't be certain that every single one of those guys comes back and they just get 60 days away. They're all good. But,
getting back to that Coulomb thing, the name, they've had a guy the last couple of years, because I know this because I play fantasy baseball. They've had a left-hander named Giovanni Moran, and he's 1-2 with a 4.41 ERA. But the guy that took Coulomb's place is, as a left-hander in the pen, is Brent Hendrick.
Okay.
And he is 1-0 with a 5.14 ERA.
That's not great. And how many appearances?
14 innings. And he has allowed 11 hits, and let's see what else he's allowed. 7 walks. So his whip's not horrible, 129, but he has not been doing the job that Coulomb
No
would have
question
done for
about
them.
that. Some news in the sports broadcasting world this morning. Jeff Van Gundy is out at ESPN.
Whoa.
Really?
This is very surprising because they are. I've talked about ESPN's NBA coverage.
Yeah.
Is really bleak to begin with, particularly in comparison to TNT being the standard, not just for NBA coverage, but arguably in all of sports. Like, I don't know that there is any entity that does as well with their coverage of anything. I mean, ESPN does really well with college football, but, like, I don't know that anybody does anything as well as Turner does the NBA. It's insane how good TNT's coverage of the NBA is. So
he's out.
He is
now,
out.
Does Stan, his brother, does he still work for ESPN?
He did last year. So.
I think they're both excellent.
I think they're both
analysts.
very good, yes. So that's the crazy part to me
surprising.
Is like it was one of the few good things about ESPN's coverage of the NBA was Jeff Van Gundy. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, short of if they're just saying we're not going to spend money on anybody. Like, we are just going to take Tim Legler and J.J. Redick and whoever's lying. I mean, it was kind of laughable when I was watching their coverage of the finals, where it was like their studio team was whoever was at work that day. Like, if Kendrick Perkins was on one of their network on their debate shows, they'd be like, "Stick around, you can be on the studio crew tonight." They are there for the ABC's studio had involved one former player at the table, and that was Jalen Rose. That was it.
Right.
The other guys at the table were Wilbon, who's certainly knowledgeable,
and Stephen A.
and Stephen A., who's just there because that's the only guy that ESPN. Like, I'm waiting for them to say Pat McAfee is now going to be on their NBA coverage because that's who they spent the money on, so he just has to do everything now. Like, this is bizarre to me that they already covered the sport poorly, as far as the games are concerned. And they take off one of the few guys who was actually good at what they did. It's bonkers to me. But Jeff Van Gundy is out at ESPN. And
surprising.
Would certainly make sense for him to just wind up going over to Turner
or go back to coaching.
He's been so far removed from it at this point that I don't think that's likely. But I wouldn't. I think I thought he was a very good coach.
Yeah.
Just sort of stunning.
I think his brother's a terrific coach.
I don't disagree with that. All right.
Guess it was his fault that Zion Williamson
that's right.
got hurt all those times.
Probably his fault. We continue along here on a Friday edition of GCR. It is time for us to make a trip to Aberdeen to catch up with a member of the Ironbirds. Joining us now, an outfielder. He is Dylan Beavers, and he is with us here on GCR. Dylan, it's Glenn and Stan here in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you for taking a couple of minutes for us this morning.
Hey, yeah, thank you.
It's good to hear your voice, man. Just Dylan, if you could kind of take me through here in your first full season of pro ball. I know there have been some downs, some ups. What is it that you have felt the best about as far as your progress is concerned in this first full season?
I'd say I'd probably just kind of the player development side. Kind of what the Orioles want to focus on. It's, the coaches really want us to not stress about kind of game-to-game results and just focus on our own progress as a player. So they kind of view our results and stuff like the stock market, You're going to have ups and downs, but as long as I'm trending in the right direction, that's kind of what they want. So just kind of improving over the long run is what I've been focused on this season.
Dylan, I noticed you've hit 5 home runs this season. You only played 20 games last year and didn't hit a single home run last year. I know that there's power in there. How do you feel like you can develop the power?
I think just kind of the consistency, which I think starts a little bit with my swing, the mechanics of my swing, just kind of getting the ball in the barrel more consistently, and getting on the barrel out front so I can elevate the ball. Yeah, it's kind of what I've been working on, and I think I just, got to be early and catch it on the barrel and do that a little more consistently, and the power numbers will tick up, I think.
So let me just follow up on that. At California, where you played your college ball, you had 18 homers one year and 17 home runs. That's a lot of trust that you put into the Orioles batting teachers, that they know how to really generate this power. So you give a full buy-in to what they're teaching.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's different from player to player. For me, it's like I hit some home runs at Cal, but I knew while I was there that there was stuff I could improve on. My swing was unconventional, and kind of even there I wanted to work on improving my consistency. So it's not, it's kind of improving the consistency, especially with the change of the wood from metal to wood bat. It's a little bit different.
Yep.
So, it's almost a different swing just because the wood bats are a lot more dense on the barrel. They're heavier. It's different. So, there is stuff I want to improve. Mainly just consistency and small mechanical tweaks. It's not like I'm completely trashing my old swing.
Gotcha.
By any means.
Okay.
He is Dylan Beavers, the Aberdeen Ironbirds. The Ironbirds are home this weekend as well with great 4th of July celebrations, including post-game fireworks tomorrow night. Kids run the bases on Sunday. You want to get up to Aberdeen. Fireworks as well tonight as they take on the Winston-Salem Dash. Dylan, I want to go back to what you said about, the organization. I think that if I'm reading between the tea leaves, it would be easy to say, hey, you're a guy that I have no doubt wants to be putting up bigger numbers right now, and your second-round pick, thought of prospect. What is it for you that prevents you from getting too down? Like, how do you handle when you do have a week where it's not going the way that you want it to go? How do you not lose focus and get down and say, I should be progressing quicker, or I should be moving forward more than I am right now?
I'd say it's just, it's a long season, so when game to game, I'm not going to freak out about results just because I know there's going to be, downs for sure. There's going to be struggles. But it's definitely frustrating. I'm not happy with playing bad, but just kind of got to trust the process and know that, if I keep investing in it, that eventually I'll get something out of it. Even if I got to struggle for a little while.
I think it's well said. Do you have somebody that you talk, like, is it something you talk openly with? I'll bring up an example. I think some guys when they're struggling would say, "Hey, I'd rather not do a radio interview today. Like, I'd rather not. I'd rather not do that." Are you capable of talking openly, and do you have a support system that you chat with? Because we were just having a conversation a minute ago about how much mental health has become a part of the game of baseball and how important it is. Is that part of it for you that allows you to say, I'm all right, I'm good, I can go on and chat with those guys and goof around on a Friday, despite the fact that they're not talking about me hitting 383 this year, something like that?
Yeah. I have a mental skills coach that I've worked with for the last couple of years now. And she helps a lot. Kind of, my life's more than baseball, so when I'm not at the field, I'm not freaking out about, my results. But yeah, it's definitely, she helps a lot, and it's like, even though I think the staff at the Orioles kind of puts you at ease too, just because
it's cool.
They're not necessarily worried about the result right away. And I know, like, I trust that I'm going to start putting up numbers eventually. So otherwise I'd be stressed out if I didn't think about that.
Hey, I'm going to take the pressure off of you right now. You're a teammate of one of the most ballyhooed prospects in all of baseball, and it seems to fall to me each time we have somebody that's rubbed elbows with Jackson Holliday. Tell us something about Jackson as a player that we might not know.
I'd say he's a little more relaxed on the field than most people would think. Like, he keeps it light in the dugout for sure. Obviously focused when he's on the field playing, but he keeps it light, has a good time. But yeah, he's a great teammate. I love playing with him. So I was super excited whenever he moved up pretty quick to Aberdeen this year.
So put your scouting hat on. Tell us about him as a player.
I think he's a great player. He's one of the best players I ever played with for sure, especially for being so young. He's just a really mature player. Knows the game of baseball. He's got, high IQ, and he can hit the ball real well, play good defense at shortstop. But yeah, he's one of the best players I've played with for sure.
Great answer.
He is Dylan Beavers. He's with us here on GCR. Dylan, being a part of this organization, just can you kind of put into words and the excitement, I have no doubt for you that even when you arrived, you were already starting to feel it, like what it means to know there's an opportunity ahead that you could maybe get there and compete for a World Series in the coming years.
Yeah, it's super exciting. I will say it. Like growing up, I followed the Red Sox. I was a Red Sox fan.
Yeah, I think I knew that you're a Patriots fan too, and I'm not really thrilled about that either. Yeah. If we got to be honest, like we're gonna try to avoid those particular topics too.
Yeah, but yeah, as a Red Sox fan, I always growing up, at least for my time, it was like the Orioles weren't normally contenders, so whenever I got drafted, I didn't really know what to think, and then they kind of right after I got picked is whenever the Orioles really started taking off and winning a lot of ball games. So
we refer to it here as the Beaver effect.
Yeah, yeah, but it's exciting for sure, especially seeing like a lot of since I've been here, a ton of guys have got called up and made impacts up there. So it's definitely really exciting to see, and it seems like the Orioles is going to be a really good club for years to come. So I'm excited to be a part of it.
Why are you? You're a California kid. Why in the hell are you a Red Sox and Patriots fan?
The Red Sox were my first little league team. My dad was my coach when I was like 6-7 years old, and the Red Sox were my first team, and I got him. I asked him to try and get us the Red Sox every year after that. So all grown up, we were the Red Sox, and that was the team I followed when I watched baseball.
I still don't understand the Patriots part, because I saw you tweeting about the Patriots not that long ago. So you just decided that you were like you had because you were a Red Sox guy, you were a Boston guy.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, and my hitting coach growing up was a big Patriots fan, so we followed him.
All right.
He's like a front runner,
Yeah, right. Yeah, all of a sudden they start winning championships. Right.
Brady wins like 6.
So let's do this. Like now, okay, come on. You're going to be in Baltimore now for a few years, right? Like if you, let's just say if you get here, could we get you to maybe like start caring more about like the Patriots stink now? Like let's be honest about it. They're no good.
I can't just jump off the boat now. Then I'd be a true bandwagon.
Yeah, we can keep trying. We presented this hypothetical. If DeAndre Hopkins said to the Patriots, "I'll sign with you if you can coerce Brady out of retirement," what would you like? Would you say, "Yeah, go ahead and do that"? Mac Jones stinks. Let me move on immediately.
No, I trust in Mac Jones.
Oh, I don't know about that decision. I don't know about that.
Hey, I've got one more for you.
Give him a year. Give him a year or two. He'll be good.
I got one more for you. Teammates root for one another. One of your teammates just recently got promoted up to Bowie, because I was looking at Bowie's stats because I want to see Kobe Mayo, and I saw that Judd Fabian. I saw Mayo play last year at Aberdeen and was blown away with the power. But Judd Fabian got promoted. Can you tell us a little bit about Judd and what kind of player you think he can be?
Yeah, Judd's another really good player. I'd say he hits a lot of home runs for sure. He did at Florida. He continues to hit them here. But Judd, I look up to Judd, especially in the outfield. for sure the best defender I've seen in the outfield.
And he's a center fielder. Is he a center fielder?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a center fielder. He's definitely the best outfielder I've ever played with. So, you know, I got to play with him last year after we got drafted, and then for the first, you know, up until a couple weeks ago here, and he's a really good player, and I've learned a lot from him in the outfield especially, but definitely had a lot of fun playing with him, and he's one of my best friends here for sure.
Dylan Beavers 11 on Twitter is how you follow him. Dylan.Beavers on Instagram. You can follow him there as well. Dylan, really appreciate you doing this, man. And I look forward to the next time we're talking, when we are talking about you hitting 383 at that point and bombing like 20 home runs. I look forward to that being the next conversation. But appreciate your thoughtfulness this morning and doing this, man. Thanks so much for hopping on with us.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Best of luck.
Dylan Beavers, still obviously a very thought-of prospect. There was a reason why he was a second-round pick. Been a bit of a struggle this season, but appreciate his thoughtfulness and the answers, and every reason to believe that he has the opportunity to get things going here.
It's interesting to get that insight that the team really it's almost like that mental health thing we're talking about. It seems like the Orioles' approach is to take some of the stress off. Like, don't worry day to day. We'll be charting what you need to do.
I think what jumps out is that they are proactive instead of being reactive.
That's what I mean.
Right?
It's almost like their theory of hitting would seem like it would de-stress players. You know, like, hey, don't think about this day to day. Think about it as, like he said, the stock market.
But like when he said he had a mental health coach, and then or not a mental. I'm sorry, I'm gonna make sure I use the right word because he didn't say health. He has a different word, mental.
Was it just mental coach?
I apologize. I don't remember what the word was that he used. But that predated
somebody that
like you said, I've had that person for a few years, and then that was met with what the Orioles do within the system. I thought that was very interesting that the Orioles are trying to immediately, hey, you come into the organization. We are talking about this.
It's an interesting topic. Yeah,
we have people that we're working with that we want you to work with. I think those are all very good things. All right, we continue along here on a Friday edition of GCR. Stan the Fan Charles is here. If you have not picked up the new print issue of Press Box yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. Stan tells me it has been flying off newsstands. It is available for free at your neighborhood Royal Farms and at those hundreds of locations around town where you find Press Box.
And I got several really positive comments on the job David Ginsburg did.
Yeah, really remarkable job with this cover story about the late, great Tony Saragusa and the legacy and what it is that his family is trying to do to continue his legacy. So I'd really encourage you to go out and get that, pick it up for free. Again, you can always read the entire thing at PressBoxOnline.com.
Does he belong in the Ring of Honor?
It's really funny because I feel like we kind of skirted around that conversation when he passed away, and
I just think for what he did, for the impact he had in such a short time, the comparisons with Artie, that he was the modern sort of Artie Donovan. To me, he's a Ring of Honor guy, but so is David Modell for me.
David Modell obviously played a massive role in the relationship that was created or established between the city and the franchise.
Yeah.
There's no doubt David Modell was very involved with that.
Yeah.
The Ravens, what they have not established is sort of a secondary way to honor. Like, it's either you're in the Ring of Honor or kind of nothing.
Yep.
And it's a very difficult line of where they want the Ring of Honor to be heightened, right? They want it to be the best of the best. Well, then what happens for the people that are worthy of honor but aren't in that? What are you doing for them? And
I mean, I get that, but this is not putting Tony Saragusa saying he's a Hall of Famer in the grand sense of the word.
You're not saying they should build a statue of him.
Right, exactly. I'm just saying that there are certain people, and David and Tony
I hear you.
are the two that really stick out for me.
I'm not really going to argue with you. I would have no problem, and I might have even at one point suggested that I thought Tony Saragusa was worthy of it. I am understanding of what they want the Ring of Honor to be, and that whenever anybody says, well, Ernest Biner's in, you got to be willing to ignore, you have to be. You can't have the kind of that was
done
a favor for Art Modell.
Yeah.
Art Modell wanted to do something for Ernest Biner. That's why he's in the Ring of Honor. It has nothing to do with
it has nothing to do with his time as a Raven.
Correct. Yeah. And so it's a very difficult conversation.
It was a lifetime award for Art Modell.
It was a personal favor for Art Modell to put Ernest Biner in the Ravens Ring of Honor. Yes, we all know that it sticks out like a sore thumb. We all understand that. But it's sort of like saying Harold Baines got into the Baseball Hall of Fame, so now that's the judgment for whether somebody should get into the Baseball Hall of Fame. We're going to have to, as time goes on, say like that's not the baseline. Like the baseline isn't Ernest Biner for the Ravens Ring of Honor. It's the rest of the guys that are in the Ravens Ring of Honor. Yeah. I am with you. I would have no issue with Tony Saragusa getting in.
Or David.
Or I would have no issue with David either. There's arguments that can be made for other. Like I talked about this when Kevin Byrne retired, and that's more why I was talking about the secondary thing. Yeah. That I wish there was a secondary way that they had a place to put
Kevin Byrne in.
What the Orioles do with their
South Carolina.
That's correct. Go play racquetball. Enjoy your life, right? Actually,
he's a pickleball player.
I think he is too, and he's actually being honored by the Football Hall of Fame this weekend.
Right.
I don't remember what the name of the honor is, but they have an honor for PR people, and he's receiving it from the Football Hall of Fame this weekend.
That's great.
But the Orioles have done this successfully. As much as we make fun of their standard for the Orioles Hall of Fame and sort of say that anybody can get into the Orioles Hall of Fame, the point is that they have the group of players that they have separated and said, these are the highest of the high, and they get statues and they get their jerseys retired. They then have a next group. They now have a secondary honor for them to say, we think that these people are also worthy of honor too. And we can laugh about it's a plaque out by a bathroom, but it's a way to bring them back, celebrate them for a weekend, do the luncheon, the whole thing.
Yep.
And I think that the Ravens would be wise to try to come up with some equivalent, right? Some secondary way to honor people that, like, Derek Mason isn't honored in any way by the Baltimore Ravens.
I know. To me, he's one of my favorites.
And I would have no problem with that being the Ring of Honor. Like, it wouldn't bother me at all for that answer to be the Ring of Honor.
Stephen Smith.
Anquan Bolden. Like, guys that were critical for – Anquan Bolden was a critical part of a championship team. And I get it. They would say, but he was only here for a few years. Joe Flacco's going to get in the Ring of Honor, right?
Yeah.
Like, he'll be in the Ring of Honor. But how do you do that? The Ravens' answer has kind of been, like, awkward. Well, we'll bring him back as, like, the man of the game or something and let him wave to the crowd before. But that's not permanent anywhere. You can't walk out and see that somewhere. I think the Ravens would be wise to come up with another way. Maybe it's at their facility when fans are going out to see training camp in the summer, that they have a display of people of honor.
Let's be honest about this. I know we're off on an interesting topic on the side. But football is absolutely horrible at honoring the great players anyway, the way they do it at halftime when everybody wants to go up and get a piss.
Chicken fingers,
get chicken fingers or hot chocolate or take a piss.
Right.
And that's when they honor the player.
That's true.
It feels so rushed. It's like 5-6 minutes, and it's over.
Yeah, you don't really get the...
baseball does it, it's before the game. It's a half hour before the game.
You give the guys time to give a speech and to rib their teammates and to tell stories and, the whole thing. I don't care at all about the Seattle Mariners, but the day that Jay Buhner went into their Hall of Fame, he gave a speech where he got Ken Griffey Jr. to cry, and it was one of the most beautiful things that I've ever seen in my life. I was like, God, I don't care about these people at all.
Right.
And yet it was beautiful to me. You're right about that, Stan. They don't do that well, and I think the Ravens would be wise to start thinking about ways that they can find more permanent places to honor other guys. To your point,
you
though,
make a really good point about a secondary.
I would have no problem with Goose being in the Ring of Honor.
No problem with Derek Mason, Goose, or David Modell.
Yep. All right, why don't we do things a little out of order today? Why don't we come back in and do Tidbit and Tubular, and then we'll wrap today by chatting with Mark DeRosa. How about that? All right? We'll go that way.
Sounds good to me.
I figured that would work out better for you. Stan the Fan Charles is here. It's a Friday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
Hey, O's fans. The Birdland Summer Music Series presented by Miller Lite continues at Oriole Park at Camden Yards on Friday, June 30th with DJ Diesel, a.k.a. Shaquille O'Neal. After the Orioles take on the Minnesota Twins at 7:05, stay post-game to watch DJ Diesel live from the infield. The concert is open to all fans who attend the game, with the option to add special on-field access for just $35. You can get up close and experience the biggest DJ in the world, live at Camden Yards. Get your tickets at Orioles.com/music.
Your summer destination is closer than you think at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. With an expansive gaming floor and incredible dining options ready for you to explore, your adventure awaits. Dine at the new Coho Korean Barbecue House coming in July or on the patio at the Prime Rib. Enjoy the summertime breeze at Orchid Smoking Patio. Limited time packages starting at $229. What are you waiting for? Book now. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All electronic tolling is here to stay in Maryland, and DriveEasyMD.com helps you cruise a little easier. We're Maryland's tolling resource, home to Easy Pass, pay-by-plate, and video tolling. It's never been easier to pay your way. DriveEasyMD.com. We'll keep you moving.
The Orioles are off and running, out to prove that last season wasn't a fluke, and they are one of the best teams in baseball. Hi, I'm Paul Valley, host of the Bat Around for PressBox. Tune in every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon as Zach Goodman and I break down every Adley bomb, every Tony Tater, and every save from the mountain. Like a warm hug from Rutschman, the Bat Around has you covered with all things Orioles as we embark on what's sure to be a magical summer in Birdland. So tune in every Saturday for the best in Orioles coverage right here on the Bat Around.
Another exciting weekend of affordable family fun at Prince George's Stadium with the Bowie Bay Sox. It's our Independence Weekend celebration starting on Friday the 30th with our Pride Night. A special ticket package gets you a Bay Sox rainbow hat, and then July 1st through 3rd, major fireworks shows each and every night with a special jersey auction on sale. Get your tickets now by calling 301-805-6000 or anytime online at baysox.com. The Bowie Bay Sox. Let us be your 9-inning vacation.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
Costas Inn has been serving up delicious steamed crabs for over 50 years. Lately, the crabs you want to eat when the weather warms up have gotten harder and harder to get. So get your crab eating game plan in place. Make sure to stick this number on your fridge, 410-477-1975. Call ahead and reserve the size crabs you want. You may be able to walk in, but you may also be disappointed at the size or maybe even get shut out altogether. So call ahead, have a plan, and then arrive on your crab eating vacation. Costas also has delicious crab soup and crab cakes. The Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard. For more than 50 years, they've been satisfying crab lovers in and around Baltimore.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
If you need more of Glenn, you can also hear him every Sunday with Rita on 105.7 The Fan. But also, if you need more of Glenn, what's wrong with you?
All right, I'll tell you the end of that story another time.
Continue, please.
Yeah, right. It's fine. It's totally fine. But yeah, Shaq tonight at Oriole Park at Camden Yards after the DJ Diesel after the game. All right, let's do Tidbit and Tubular now, and then we'll wrap up the week by chatting with Mark DeRosa from MLB Network. Tidbit
Can't wait to talk to him.
The thing about that is, you know what, next time, no, actually, we only had like a 10-minute heads up. It was very weird yesterday. Oh, no, I didn't realize. Griffin had actually told me ahead of time. Yeah, you didn't tell Stan. You could have invited Stan to come in and record with us.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah, you know what? I would take your anger out on that guy right there, although it was his birthday yesterday.
He thinks I'm blocking his career.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. That's what it is. What'd you do for your birthday?
Let's see. I had a baseball game.
When was your birthday?
Yesterday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Special.
I totally forgot to mention something on the show. I looked at like 12.
What about your donut?
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, you missed out on your birthday donut.
Yeah, I know. I guess I got to start broadcasting it more and be like, "Hey, it's my birthday."
For what it's worth, that's what you get for not telling him about Mark DeRosa, though.
Okay.
I think it's even now. I think it's now even.
Sorry, Stan.
between.
I'm sorry. Oh.
Anything
I'll
fun?
do
Though?
better.
Did you do anything actually?
Baseball.
right.
Baseball's fun for me, usually.
Hey, go to PressBoxOnline.com/offers right now. Get $150 in bonus bets from DraftKings after placing your first $5 bet. See this and other great sportsbook offers at PressBoxOnline.com/offers.
I had dinner with my sister, and we watched old episodes of Survivor, which is what we like doing.
Wow.
Survivor. I love Survivor.
That will make one of us. Not for me, my friend.
I loved it for the first 3 seasons it was on. I used to love the women on it.
The first season when everybody was like captivated by it, and the entire country. It's so difficult to explain this. It was like the lead story on CNN the next day.
Really?
Yeah.
Was Survivor. It was that
Made sense.
big when it first came out.
Yeah.
Still should. Well,
who was the
now
guy?
current.
Richard Hatch. I still remember that guy.
God, Richard Hatch.
I still remember Richard Hatch. It was that big of a deal.
He was the people everybody hated.
Everybody hated him because he was the weasel.
Right.
He
but
was
he won.
Yep, 100%. He figured it out.
He walked around naked.
Can you believe that show's been on like 20
It's
plus
nuts.
seasons?
Yeah. Stan, oh God, I wish I could remember who it was that was on CNN this day. But whoever the female finalist was that lost to Richard Hatch. Right. The next day. On CNN.
She was on.
Well, no, her parents.
Her
were
parents
on.
were on.
They couldn't even get her. They had her parents on.
That was a big story.
And I remember, like, they treated the interview like it was a state interview. Like it was I swear to God, if I could remember who the interviewer was.
That was, you got to remember, put it in perspective. That's pre-Donald Trump.
It certainly
sucks up everything.
There's no
now.
doubt. There's no doubt about that. The next day, this would have been 99, 2000, somewhere in that range. Somewhere in the late 90s.
It was 2000. I think the first season
was 2000, and it was the year 2000. So this is even pre-George W. Bush.
Right.
I swear to God, whoever the interviewer was wrapped up the interview by saying, "America is so proud of your daughter." Like she had gone to the moon. Like she had done something.
America is so proud of your daughter.
I mean, they were like making references to it on Sopranos and stuff. Like, it was,
Jesus, man, it was a phenomenon among phenomenons. All right, tidbit, what you got?
Let's see. Okay, so this is the third time in the Marlins franchise history that they have ever been at least 14 games over 500 at some point in the season. So this is the third time they've ever done that.
Fifth best record in all of baseball.
Yeah, Marlins are.
Although they play the Braves this weekend, correct?
That sounds right. I don't know the matchups this weekend. So the previous 2 seasons.
By the way, they are in Atlanta. Yes.
Okay. The previous 2 seasons that they were at least 14 games over 500, 2003 and 1997.
I believe they won the World Series both years.
You are correct. So
you're saying the Marlins? Yeah, right. Go ahead.
Yes. I saw this. This was like a graphic going around that I liked. Jay Kuda on Twitter, he put together the pitcher with the visiting pitcher with the most starts at every ballpark in Major League Baseball. Do you know who has the most starts as a visitor at Camden Yards?
The most ever all time?
Yes.
Like not active?
Yeah. He is not active.
He's not active.
And it can't be someone who got starts as an Oriole. Like the only starts that count are the ones.
He was never.
He was a visitor. He was a visitor.
So I'll say Andy Pettitte.
Yeah, that is an excellent guess. It is not Andy Pettitte, though.
Okay.
Wait a minute. It's somebody who's definitely. Could he be on the IL right now?
No, he doesn't.
He's not
it doesn't have
active.
to be
Yeah,
active.
he's not
It doesn't have to be
It
active.
doesn't have to be, and I just gave it to you. He's not active.
Okay.
He's not active. Okay.
Just who's made the most starts as a visitor in Camden Yards.
It's got to be an
history.
American League East team.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right. So you would think it would be a Boston Red Sox or a Blue Jay or a Yankee.
That's why I went with Pettitte first because, but Pettitte's career, I guess, technically, did Pettitte start before '92? Maybe that's what.
Andy Pettitte. It's not against the Orioles. He does have the most starts at Rogers Center, though. Andy Pettitte does.
Makes some sense. No, Pettitte started in '95. All right, well, let's just go through.
How about Pedro Martinez?
Not Pedro Martinez.
Okay, too short. Let's go. Let's go Clemens.
Not Roger Clemens.
He definitely started before '92, so that's part of the problem there. But he played for 3 AL East teams, so that's why he was compelling to me. Sabathia.
CC Sabathia is the answer. 28 starts.
It's only interesting because he spent enough time not in the AL East that
he has the most starts at 2 other stadiums. Do you want to try to guess which ones those are?
Fenway.
Not Fenway.
Tiger Stadium?
Early Wynn would have the most starts at Fenway Park.
Oh, I guess Fenway's been around for so long.
Tiger Stadium?
Correct. Comerica Park. CC Sabathia has the most starts.
And one more
And
park?
one more, yeah.
Kansas City.
The new one in Minnesota.
Not Minnesota.
Comiskey.
No.
Tampa.
Tampa, yes.
Okay.
Tropicana. Tropicana won. Yeah.
Oh, because I'm thinking.
26
okay.
starts as a visitor there
That's
for CC
interesting.
Sabathia. And then since it is all the All-Star selections are coming out, this is actually going to be the first time that we have a rookie starting for the American League and the National League in the same year. Corbin Carroll and, why do I already forget? Oh, Josh Jung.
Carroll may not start.
Oh,
He's
really?
got shoulder soreness. He didn't play yesterday.
Well, then
And
maybe
he had that shoulder surgically repaired 2 years ago.
And I like that we were talking about yesterday, Cal Ripken in the number of All-Star
18,
appearances,
yeah.
19.
19, all right.
19. That is the fourth most all-time All-Star game appearances. I want to see if you guys can now name the top 9. Top 9. So you have the fourth. So I need eight more guys.
Willie Mays.
Willie Mays has the second most All-Star game appearances, 20.
Hank Aaron.
He would be number 1, 21. 21.
Oh, no, because he was never mind, not Ted Williams.
Frank Robinson.
Frank Robinson is not on here. And then Ted Williams did make it. 17. So he is top 8.
So you remember in the 60s, there were 2 All-Star games.
Oh,
for about 4 or 5 years. So that's why I went.
Oh,
how about
so the way it's broken down is number of seasons on an All-Star roster. So,
okay.
So it doesn't.
Okay.
So I think Hank
Al
Aaron would
Kaline?
technically have like 24 All-Star.
Al Kaline?
Al Kaline not in the top 9.
Brooks Robinson.
Brooks Robinson not in the top 9. He has 15 seasons. Brooks did. So I'm looking for guys with 16 or more All-Star season
Harmon
appearances.
Killebrew?
Harmon Killebrew not in the top 9.
Barry Bonds.
Not in the top 9.
No.
Yeah.
Mike Schmidt
not in the top 9.
Pete Rose.
Pete Rose is indeed 17 All-Star appearances.
George Brett.
No, not George Brett.
Jeez, what?
Yeah.
Are any of these
Tony
players,
Gwynn.
Are they pitchers?
Tony Gwynn is not in the. No.
Are they pitchers? Any of them
There's
pitchers?
one pitcher.
One pitcher.
There's a pitcher?
Roger Clemens.
Sorry, no pitchers. Sorry.
So, okay.
Yeah, not.
I take that back then. No,
All right,
Roger.
definitely not. We knew that.
Yeah.
Silly.
All position players. Sorry.
Mickey Mantle.
16 All-Star appearances, top 9, rounds out the 9.
So how many do we still need?
We need.
Because I thought we were only going to top 3, so I'm
3.
Willie McCovey.
3. Not Willie McCovey.
Not Willie McCovey.
I hate to say it. Derek Jeter.
Not Derek Jeter.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
God.
they're all these guys.
How
are
about Ron
more
Santo?
old. Not Ron Santo.
Billy Williams.
Not Billy Williams.
Ernie Banks.
Not Ernie Banks.
Going all Cubs. Just all
I went
Mark
off
Grace.
I went off the.
Andre Dawson.
No.
Stan Musial.
Yeah.
He is tied for the second most with Willie Mays, 20 seasons.
Yeah, right? Yeah, seriously. What are you doing over there,
Yeah.
Stan?
What am I doing over here?
So we need 2 more, you said?
2 more, yes.
Johnny Bench.
Not Johnny Bench.
He
Good
didn't
guess.
play it long enough.
Joe DiMaggio.
Not Joe DiMaggio.
Joe DiMaggio. Hey, National League or American League?
They are both American League.
Both American Leaguers.
Rod Carew.
Rod Carew is correct.
Very good. You are good at this.
Well, I mean, he's giving us, he's guiding
Both
us.
American
18 All-Star appearances for Rod Carew. Tied with
Reggie Jackson.
This other guy, not Reggie Jackson.
Wade Boggs.
Not Wade Boggs.
No, it wasn't Wade Boggs. I'm trying to think of another player. Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah. Jesus.
You would assume so. Yeah, maybe does he get an appearance for each, as a pitcher?
Ricky Henderson.
Not Ricky Henderson.
Not Ricky Henderson.
He played 23 seasons for this one club.
23 seasons for an American League club.
23 seasons for this club.
I'm trying to go team by team now, right? So it's clearly not a Devil Ray. It's
No,
not a
Devil
Blue
Ray.
Jay.
Not a Blue Jay.
It could be a Yankee or a Red Sox.
Not George Brett.
Oh, that would have. Or what about? Well, they're not in the American, or they were in the American League at the time. Molitor.
No.
Yeah.
What about Kirby Puckett?
Not Kirby
Ooh,
Puckett.
that's a good one.
Yeah. He was the 1967 MVP. Which, yeah.
Oh, just right on the tip of my tongue.
1967 MVP.
It's not Jim Rice.
It's not Jim Rice.
Carl Yastrzemski.
Carl Yastrzemski,
That's a
Boston
good
Red
answer.
Sox.
That's a good answer.
18 All-Star appearances for Carl Yastrzemski.
All right, very good.
That's a good. That was a good one.
All right.
Very good.
Thanks, Dan.
I don't always say that.
No,
you do
normally,
not.
normally he thinks you're garbage. In fact. Tubular is brought to you by your local Toyota dealer.
I think we guessed about 140.
We were all over the place. Brought to you by your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines, so you can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today. Twins Orioles tonight and tomorrow on Masson 2. Tonight, Pablo Lopez, Dean Kramer. Tomorrow, Bailey Ober and Kyle Bradish. Tomorrow is at 4 o'clock. Like Saturday, 4 o'clock starts. Was going to take the kids. Unfortunately, apparently have to go to a friend's 40th birthday party.
Sunday, 12:05.
Yes.
Sonny Gray versus Cole Irvin.
Yep.
Want to remind everybody again. Kobe Mayo is one of the hottest players in the minor
correct.
leagues right now. Might not be at Bowie very long. He's right now, what you got, 15 homers, hitting over 300, 1,000-plus OPS. They play 6:35 Sunday evening at Bowie.
Are you
fireworks night? I'm going to try and go.
But will you sign autographs? Will you
No, I'll be there trying to get Kobe Mayo's autograph on a ball.
Sunday is on Peacock only for that matchup.
Yep.
Some other things this weekend. USA Canada for the Lacrosse World Championship gold medal. That's tomorrow night, 7 o'clock on ESPN2. U.S. Soccer in action Sunday in the Gold Cup. They take on Trinidad and Tobago at 7 on Fox. That's basically it for significant events this weekend. Everything else you can find out at glennclarkradio.com.
Wasn't the USA-Canada game last night?
No, USA-Australia was last night in the semifinals.
And
USA won, so they play
what
Canada.
Was the score?
It ended up being a blowout, but it started slowly. Like, it started fairly competitive, and it started late, so that was very frustrating because I was not trying to stay up all night, and I was like, man. But ultimately, the U.S. ended up pulling away pretty comfortably.
I know we're not tubular right now, but can I mention?
This is tubular, yes.
This is tubular?
Yes.
Totally tubular?
Yes.
Totally.
Watch the first two episodes. Did not know that Hijack on Apple
Idris Elba
was a series.
Oh.
It's 7 episodes, but we made the mistake of watching it now. Only 2 have dropped. So it's 5 more weeks. I would suggest waiting about 3 weeks or 4 weeks.
Okay.
And
let it all. Yeah.
First 2 episodes are really, really
I definitely want to
good.
watch
Yeah,
it. I 1,000% want to watch
He's
it.
fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
He's fantastic.
By the way, the final was 11-2 last night. The U.S. beat Australia. So.
Not a whole lot.
I bet Australia.
That's a really questionable decision, Stan. I don't know why you would be doing that.
It is the 4th and final season premiere of Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan on Amazon Prime
John
Video.
Krasinski.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Is It Cake 2 on Netflix?
I don't know
This is the one where there's chefs and they have to make a cake.
Oh, but
and it looks realistic.
It's that thing from Twitter where everybody's
and they
like,
decide to make it into a TV show, and
why
and
are
the judges have to guess.
I'm
is it
just
cake?
curious. Why are they making this the last season of Jack Ryan? It's not like John Krasinski's like 50.
How old is John Krasinski, though? That is a
but
fair
it
question.
doesn't matter. Harrison Ford played Jack Ryan when he was in his 50s or maybe 60s.
You're not wrong. John Krasinski is actually only 43. Jeez,
That's what
he
I
must-
thought. Yeah.
How old was he when he started on The Office then?
Like 20,
he must
have
27 or something
Holy
like that.
smokes.
But seriously, that's a very popular show. It's not like it's been 13 years of it. It's like 4 seasons.
But I can see. I feel like they have done Jack Ryan. Like that. They're
out
5 years. They,
It's like
they
enough
wanna,
Adam
They want
Fraser.
to pause for a little while, and then 5 years from now they'll have some new version of a Jack Ryan
Ryan is
movie
back.
or whatever it
Yeah.
is. Like I get the sense that it's.
Okay.
Like this is just it's almost like they're treating it like Bond anymore.
Yeah.
You know? Like you're Jack Ryan for a little while and then
I'm dying for the new Bond. Who
I don't
is
think
it
they've
that-
even made it official.
Yeah.
Which is frustrating.
That's really it there. Obviously, Walking Dead: Dead City on Sunday night, as well as Righteous Gemstones.
Gemstones, yeah.
The Idol.
I thought they canceled The Idol.
Did they? I mean,
I thought I saw that
they're not going to air the rest of the episodes.
I thought I saw they just said it's done.
There's no way that.
What's that? What show is
I mean,
that?
that could be true. It's on HBO. It's with The Weeknd and Johnny Depp's daughter.
Okay.
I already
And
forget
it
her
has
name.
been panned, and they will only apparently they are not going to air the final. They're going to end if whatever they're going to do 5 episodes and not 6.
Wow.
So I don't know if they've already done 5, and so they're not airing the 6th.
This
but
would have been the 5th episode, so I guess this will be
I
the
get-
final episode tonight then, I guess. Or not tonight, but Sunday.
Okay, then there you go.
Because this would have been the 5th episode.
Really weird. Really, really weird.
You know what what CNN reporter said to Johnny Depp?
We're so
America's
so
very
proud of your
daughter.
daughter. So proud of your daughter. God. And of course, this weekend, Indiana Jones.
Ooh, that's right.
Is in theaters this weekend. So if you want to watch an
And
80,
Harrison
an
Ford's like
83,
80 now.
an 83-year-old Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Hey, don't knock 80-year-olds.
I'm not.
They're still very
no, I'm
vibrant.
not. Well, I mean, Johnny Holiday could be Indiana Jones at this point. I hate saying this because the last one stunk. Like, it was awful. And yet, I'm still not telling you I won't go see this
Right,
one.
right.
I'm still... in fact, we had this weekend at Benji's, they're showing the Pixar movie, what is it, Elemental?
Yes.
And then Indiana Jones afterwards. And I was like...
Great double feature.
I could take I'll take the kids to that. And Mrs. Clark Mrs. Clark, by the way, has never been to a drive-in movie theater in her life. And so at this point, she's at the, if I've never needed it now, if I never needed it before, why do I need it now? And what I realized the problem is for her, she likes going to bed at 9 o'clock.
Right.
So the idea that the movies don't start until 8:45,
Right.
she's out. She's
Right.
just going to
She's
fall asleep.
checked out. But the kids will
Kids, if I had them take a nap, right? Like if I told them, hey, we're going to do this thing, take a nap during the day, and so we can go watch the movies, they would be over the moon. Like, they would love it.
Which would you rather do, the movies with the kids or Sunday night baseball at Bowie? With fireworks and Kobe
I like both. The
Mayo?
problem is they're both really good. I like both answers. I was also thinking about taking them to an amusement park on Monday since we're off. I was considering the possibility of taking them. Like, I think I'm gonna do one event with the kids.
Well, like Disney World?
Yes, exactly right.
Just for a day.
We liked it
Real
so
quick.
much, we just figured we'd hop on a quick flight.
I mean,
and-
like Hershey.
or
Park.
Six Flags, one of those, something like that. I think King's Dominion's probably a little bit too far for me to be able to pull that off as a day trip anymore. But one of the other two, I would probably do that with the kids, and that might be the way that we spend our Monday since we're not doing a show on Monday. But we'll see. I also have to be up at 4 a.m. on Tuesday now, so it's what it is. All right, we got to take one more break, right?
We do, yes.
All right, we'll take one more break. We'll come back in, and then we'll chat with Mark DeRosa to wrap up the week. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
Maryland drivers, did you know you can save up to 77% on tolls with an Easy Pass Maryland discount plan? That's right, 77%. It's never been easier. Pick the plan that's right for you at driveezmd.com. We'll keep you moving.
It's a Maryland thing you wouldn't understand.
Where the waves meet the shore, you will find Dorchester County. Hi, this is Jimmy Charles. When I think of Maryland, I think Dorchester County on the eastern shore where it's open for making memories. Dorchester County, it's a Maryland thing. For more info, visit www.visitdorchester.org.
It's a Maryland thing. Hell yeah. It's a Maryland thing. Hell yeah.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Dave Ginsburg remembers Goose as he looks back on the impact that late Tony Saragusa had both on and off the field here in Baltimore. Plus, he explains how Goose's kids are working to continue that legacy with the Goose Flights program. Also inside, Todd Karpovich profiles the path Tyler Wells has taken to becoming a star in the Orioles rotation. And you'll find a special summer travel guide with information about events and activities throughout the state. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores. And you can always find the entire edition as well as the best daily coverage of the O's, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
The All-America Senior Game powered by New Balance will be back at Johns Hopkins Homewood Field on July 29th. The most decorated girls and boys lacrosse players in the country have been invited to play in what is the premier lacrosse event of the year. Every college coach wants their players in this game, and if you dream of being in this game, you start by trying out for one of your regional underclass teams this summer. The best against the best. Get your tickets now at allamericalacrosse.com.
Hey Birdland, watch the Orioles in action against the Minnesota Twins at Camden Yards on Saturday, July 1st at 4:05. Be one of the first 30,000 fans 15 and over to receive the Birdland Hawaiian shirt. Arrive early for one of our most popular giveaways and for early bird Saturdays. Gates open 2 hours before first pitch every Saturday home game with happy hour, live music, and more. Enter vacation mode and purchase your tickets today at Orioles.com/tickets.
Your summer destination is closer than you think at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. With an expansive gaming floor and incredible dining options ready for you to explore, your adventure awaits. Dine at the new Coho Korean Barbecue House coming in July or on the patio at the Prime Rib. Enjoy the summertime breeze at Orchid Smoking Patio. Limited time packages starting at $229. What are you waiting for? Book now. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Costas Inn has been serving up delicious steamed crabs for over 50 years. Lately, the crabs you want to eat when the weather warms up have gotten harder and harder to get. So get your crab-eating game plan in place. Make sure to stick this number on your fridge, 410-477-1975. Call ahead and reserve the size crabs you want. You may be able to walk in, but you may also be disappointed at the size or maybe even get shut out altogether. So call ahead, have a plan, and then arrive on your crab-eating vacation. Costas also has delicious crab soup and crab cakes. The Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard. For more than 50 years, they've been satisfying crab lovers in and around Baltimore.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
Check out PressBoxOnline.com every day to find daily winners and betting advice from Jeremy Kahn. And if you want some advice about life decisions that you probably shouldn't make, here's Glenn Clark.
All right, winding down. Stan the Fan Charles is packing up. Of course, no show on Monday.
No show on Monday. Thursday, no guests yet. Gary Stein will be back with me.
And you will be on tomorrow morning with the guys in the bat around.
I'll be on tomorrow morning with the guys in the bat
And there will be power rankings, I'm assuming, still?
Power rankings will be with no real commentary, but there'll be power rankings on Monday by noon.
Very good. Appreciate you, man. It's good to see you.
Orioles are hanging in the top 5, it looks like, right now, unless they have an abomination weekend.
Let's hope that's not
That's how you're going to end the
Yeah, let's
weekend.
hope that is not the case.
I don't think they will.
All right. At Stan the Fan on Twitter if you want to follow him there. Hey, thanks today to Stan. Thanks to Bobby Nightengale. Thanks also to Dylan Beavers and to Mark DeRosa, who you're about to hear from. We'll get it all up in the greatest hits section of the
Oh, my God, it's so good.
tab at GlennClarkRadio.com.
Can I get a recount? How about George Altman? Didn't he
George Altman for
appear in
All-Star?
7? I'm kidding.
I don't know that George Altman made 17. I don't think that's the.
I don't know that he made 1.
I don't think that's the case.
Let's see. How do you spell Altman?
ALTMAN. George Altman was a 3-time All-Star, so he did. In fact, it's not bad, by the way. Not bad. All right. So as we said, no show on Monday or Tuesday. I will be on with Rita on Sunday on 105.7, and I'll be on with Drew Forrester Tuesday morning on 105.7 The Fan, which is a mistake.
History.
Yeah, I don't know why we would do that, but we will do that on Tuesday morning, so you can hang out with us there. So I will be doing 2 shows between now and Wednesday, just 2 shows over there, and then we'll be back here and back to normal come Wednesday. So look forward to that. Appreciate you guys enjoying and clamoring and asking. But if on Monday when you say, hey, where's the show? There is no show. No show on Monday. Then obviously Tuesday is the holiday, and then we're back on Wednesday. Capiche? Cool. Enjoy your 4th of July weekend. Please, as always, don't do anything stupid with fireworks. Don't drink and drive. It's too easy now. Just get an Uber, whatever. And if you're out by a pool and you have small children, 2 seconds is too long. Keep an eye on them at all times. Oh, and I'll add in for my guy T-Bone, Tom Marr, and Kelly's Dream, wear your sunscreen. Not that hard. Don't be an idiot. Wear sunscreen this weekend. Cover everything you need to cover.
I think so, yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Thanks, everybody at PressBox. All of our great sponsors and partners, including Live Casino and Hotel Maryland, Glory Days Grill, Dorchester County, the Bowie Bay Sox, Royal Farms, Costas Inn, All-American Lacrosse, the Baltimore Orioles, Birdland Sports, Easy Pass MD, your local Toyota dealer, and buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass on Twitter is how you follow him. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great weekend. Go Birds. Go Team USA. Duke sucks. We wrap up the week. Had an opportunity to catch up with Mark DeRosa from MLB Network right here on GCR. Well, it's a pleasure now to be joined here on GCR by a man that you see regularly on MLB Network, and it feels like every time I've seen him this season, he's been talking about the Orioles. He is, of course, a former longtime MLB utility player. D-Row, Mark DeRosa, with us on the program. Mark, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us.
No problem. Great to chat with you guys. Baltimore is an easy team to talk about these days.
I swear it feels like every time I've been seeing you've been talking about Gunnar or talking about one of these guys. But before I get to all that, though, if I could, you had the opportunity with Team USA to be around Cedric for a little while, and I just wanted to get some thoughts from you. I think coming into this season, there are a lot of us that were wondering, hey, what is Cedric's part in the long term, what the Orioles are trying to go from being a competitive team to being a championship team. And I don't know, a month into the season, it just like smacked me in the middle of the face. Like, this is the guy. As much as Adley Rutschman is maybe the star here and the guy that you want to sign to big money, Cedric Mullins as a leader, a quieter, not Adam Jones, but, still a leader, a guy that people take his cues from. What he does on the field, how he's improved, hitting against lefties, all of these things. What was your experience like with Cedric, and how much do you feel like the Orioles would be wise to maybe give that guy a 5-year deal right now and sign him up to be a central part of this thing as they move into hopefully championship contention the next few years?
Yeah, I think for me, being around him, it would be a no-brainer to lock him up. And I say that because he does a couple things for you, right? First off, he's way more talented than I thought he was before I showed up. He's got way more power than I thought he had. The bag's a lot hotter than I thought he did. He's just overall. I remember when I played in 2009 on Team USA, and you see these guys on TV, but unless you're in a room with them for 3 straight weeks, I walked away saying, man, Jimmy Rollins is a hell of a lot better than I thought he was, right? And that was my takeaway from Cedric. It was very easy for me to find ways to get him into the game.
Yeah.
Kyle Tucker went down. It was easy to play Cedric. Mike Trout wanted to get off his feet. It was easy to get Cedric out there. He's consistent. He has consistent ABs. He's a consistent human being walking in the door.
Mm-hmm.
He adds value in all facets. And that's what you're looking for in a ball player. Does he have to be a vocal leader? No, I'm sure there's some other guys in there. But, man, if you're going to pay somebody to be an unbelievable employee and punch the clock and do the right thing every day, I mean, he pretty much is the definition of that.
That's the way I was feeling. And a beloved member of the community, a guy that fits in, that wants to be a part of it, that enjoys being here, that has done the right things. I am enamored.
Yeah, there's no BS with him.
Yep.
What you see is what you get. I mean, he walked in the door every day ready to go, willing to do whatever it took to help us win.
Mark, I know you've been high on Gunnar Henderson for a while. We have seen the turn. I guess we're going to reach the part of the conversation where the Orioles need to sign everybody, right? What have you noticed in how he's turned, and do you feel like what we're seeing now is the start of him genuinely becoming a legitimate star in this league?
Yeah, I think for me, we're just so quick to want to, thrust star on someone half a year up. The game's hard. I think for me, watching Gunnar on a nightly basis, he screams superstar, right? The way he carries himself, the size, the swings he can get off, how he can impact the game in all facets. So you can't deny the sheer just tool set that he brings to the table. Now it's about baseball acumen, right? You're starting to see him control the strike zone a little bit better. You're starting to see him kind of stack at bats on top of one another. You start to see him game plan against certain pitchers and how they're going to attack them. So when a guy with that kind of tool set is able to start understanding how guys are going to attack him and try and get him out on a nightly basis and not just leave it to chance.
Mm-hmm.
I always used to say whenever I met a guy, if I asked them what their thought processes were with regards to hitting, and they said see ball, hit ball, they're probably a bad hitter. That's only getting you so far, right? There's a lot of these guys that early in their career, they could probably pull that off, see ball, hit ball. Being around some of the game's greats and sharing locker rooms with them and clubhouses with them, I know the great hitters didn't think like that. So I think Gunnar came up with a lot of see ball, hit ball, let my athleticism play. And I think as he progresses, He's starting to understand what he does well and what he doesn't, what he can handle. So sky's the limit. Listen, there's so much to love about the Orioles because they're young, but they're super likable and they're super athletic. Like Adley's Buster Posey. I saw Buster Posey come up. I was there in 2010. I know the impact it had. When you see these guys, these gunners and Westberg and what is it, Kerstead and Kauser and all these guys in the minor leagues, and these guys are well aware. They go to spring training with these guys. The veteran players know. These are not just so-called prospects. These are like game-changing players for our organization. So when they walk in the door, it's just constant, like, here we go, man. They're just giving us another chance, So that's why it's easy to jump on board. I mean, this series with Cincinnati, how can you take it? Who would have thought coming into this year we'd be dialed in on Baltimore, Cincinnati in late June?
It was awesome. Obviously, we would have preferred if the Orioles would have hung on and won the third game after coming back. But other than that, it was awesome. Of course, you see Mark DeRosa on MLB Network, MLB Central, weekdays from 9 to 11 a.m. Mark, I want to come back for those big picture thoughts, but just one more specifically, because you mentioned, Westberg's up now, and one of the things we had talked about with Gunnar was, would he have been well-suited to just play a position, right? Like, let's not move you around. Let's not have you at short one night, third one night. You, of course, played literally every position, right? Like, what do you make of for a young player? Jordan Westberg, we've already seen him play second and third this week. Is there value in just saying, hey, dude, for a little while, we just want you to play second, and that's just going to be your spot as you get comfortable? And then that versatility, that'll be great, but maybe we worry about that a little bit down the road, and right now we just have you work on this thing.
Yeah, I think it's case by case.
Okay.
I don't know Jordan. I don't know his makeup, if he's a guy that desires or feels like in order to be successful offensively he needs to play one spot. I thought athletically it freed me up.
Okay.
I came up as a shortstop. I'd never played another inning in my life except shortstop through the minors, high school, college, everything. And then I saw Rafael Furcal on a backfield, and I knew my life was about to change. Like, I was just an honest evaluator of myself versus him.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, okay, I could be stubborn and say I'm a shortstop, and maybe I am, but I'm not going to be one with Atlanta.
Yep.
Or I can fight the fight and try and, be a utility guy and be athletic and do all different sorts of things in that regard. And I found a lot of joy in it. I found a lot of kind of a free and easy kind of way of going about it. If I was in the outfield, I had fun with it. If I was at third. So I think the makeup of the player kind of dictates that. He strikes me as a guy that the bat plays, and it's always going to play. So how do we get him on the field? I don't know if he's necessarily Roberto Alomar at second. I don't know what he looks like at third yet over the course of 162. So I just think just throwing more talent in the room would make up the way these guys have right now. It's like, wow, special things.
The flip he made on the first night when he was playing second base. I mean, you're just like, everybody's talking about this kid as a bat, and you're like, okay, if that's a bat, Jesus, you got something. I know.
And then I said, this kid's going to have his first big league AB delayed in the middle of the AB with rain. It was horrible. He was trying to stay in there.
And yet he's got, 5 hits to the first 3 games. He's got everything is going well for Jordan Westberg. Mark, what you talked about and all the excitement, and we're feeling all of it, right? Like, it's a fun team. These guys enjoy each other. I wonder, when you think about that culture, people ask all the time, how good of a manager do you think Brandon Hyde is? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know X's and O's. There are plenty of times we're all going to disagree with, who goes into the game at a certain point as a reliever. And when you lose, you always blame the manager. Oh, if you would have just done this, you would have gotten a different result. But what I say is that culture, and more, I was just talking about this with Ryan O'Hearn the other day, that can't happen despite the manager, right? Like, there's no way that Brandon Hyde can't be at least a part or a big part of the reason why a winning culture and a culture where guys enjoy coming to work exists, And I think that has to matter in how you reflect on the job a manager is doing, right?
Yeah, I don't know Brandon that well except to be around him at a John Lester retirement party this past off season for about 2 days out in the woods.
Yeah.
And I got a chance to hang out with him a lot. He's a guy's guy. He's probably no frills in the clubhouse, open door policy, and he expects you to show up and play hard. I just think that's who you want to battle for. He's going to tell you honestly, and he's been through the grind with a lot of these guys. He's lost a ton of games with these guys. So to see it turn and to see the joy in his eyes, and then see the joy in the the fans and the players, I can't imagine that these guys don't want to run through a brick wall for him. So he just seems like an honest, kind of no BS kind of manager.
Is it time for this team to now use their depth and the fact that they have so many, particularly infield prospects, to go land themselves? Like the starting pitching thing still seems to be the one thing that you would say it's not quite there. And I know it's not easy. You can't take the guys you don't want and just go get an ace. That's not the way that this sport works. But is that the biggest difference right now for you and the Orioles, being a good competitive team and being a World Series caliber team, and is now the time to start being aggressive?
Yeah, I think as currently constructed, they can find themselves in a division series. I don't know as currently constructed can they grind out and win the whole thing.
Yeah.
You're asking a lot of the starting rotation. You're asking a lot of Kyle Gibson to kind of anchor it. There are guys out there. I don't know who they are yet. The Stromans of the world. I'm not so sure the Dylan Ceases of the world become available. That remains to be seen. But I think every team that I've been on that had a chance to go to the postseason, if the GM makes a move that makes sense, that doesn't take innings away from a guy that's already helped us get there, if he can bring in a savvy move that makes that team better, man, nothing fires up the boys more than seeing that door open up and there's like two or three guys walking in with different bags from different teams, and they're going to help us. So I would expect, and I'd be disappointed if the Orioles don't do something
before I let you
at the deadline to bolster their team.
You brought a name up there, and it's interesting to me because the Dylan Cease would be desirable from a control standpoint, right? Like, you got 3 years of team control with Dylan Cease. That is an obvious target, but it would mean an obvious price. And to your point, it's why the White Sox don't have to trade him the way they have to trade a Giolito. The numbers aren't great this year, right? Like, the home runs have kind of always been an issue. They've been worse, and the walks have been disastrous this year. But he's a year removed from being one of the best pitchers in baseball. Would you still be willing to pay? Like, when you look at him, do you still see that guy is there and you can harness that, and it's worth paying if he's available a heavy price?
He makes you better. At what cost? I don't know what the White Sox would be asking back. I wouldn't, jump through hoops to make that happen. I like the Tyler Wells. I like Bradish. I like Kramer. I like what you got. I'm just saying, if you're going to bring in somebody who jumps them, I mean, I think Giolito would definitely get the ball in the division series.
No
if you
doubt.
brought him in.
No doubt. All right, Mark, I know I need to let you go. Again, MLB Central every day, 9 to 11 a.m. Mark, DERO7 on Twitter. Mark DeRosa, really appreciate you spending some time with us, man. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, man. Enjoy.